Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're the hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every day, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can view all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues that affect you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Good evening, everyone, to the Fitchburg Common Council meeting for November 26, 2024. The first thing is to call to the order to the meeting at 7:33. Second, please stand up for the pledge of allegiance. Thank you. Next, roll call, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Alder Allen is absent with excuse. Mayor Rada Frada.
Here.
Alder Donald Dancer is
Here.
Thank you. Alder Gerhardt.
Here.
Alder Herbst. Alder Jetzer.
Here.
Alder Maldonado.
Here.
Alder Vafadari.
Here.
Alder Wheeler.
Here.
You do have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you. So next we move to item 4, is public appearances for no agenda item, and we have a couple of things tonight. We have a presentation of the 2024 Mayoral Awards, and then we have the presentation and discussion of the adoption of the City of Fitchburg Strategic Plan. So first, we are going to start with the 2024. So good evening, everyone. Buenas noches. Thank you for all that you are here to support the awardees. So I am pleased to recognize the recipient of the 2024 Mayoral Award. The awards honors individuals and organizations that have demonstrated exceptional commitment to the city. The Mayoral Awards began in 2019 with Mayor Richardson, that is here, Aaron there, to recognize resident business and staff who make Fitchburg a great place to live, work, and recreate. This year, honorees include longtime community member Ryan Estrella, Fitchburg-based business Sub-Zero Group, and then the new category under the small business category, Adesys IT Solutions. The not-for-profit organization is Bike Fitchburg, and our city staff is Kevin Richmond from the Public Works Department. So a couple of things before we start the ceremony. So I want to read each of the awarded names, and then we will take a picture with me, and then after all the individual pictures are taken, we will gather for a group picture with the mayors, and then lastly with the council. So if you can, you please remain in the room after receiving your award to participate in the group picture. So, okay, so let me go. They told me that I need to go front. Here it is, right. Okay. So the first award is for our resident, Ryan Estrella. Ryan has been a resident of Fitchburg for almost 20 years, and he and his wife decided to settle in Fitchburg shortly after getting married in 2004. Professional, Ryan has also been a community social worker in various Fitchburg neighborhoods, supporting economically disadvantaged families in 2003. In 2019, Ryan became involved with the early discussion around Fitchburg's Healthy Neighborhood Initiative, also known as H&I, which works to strengthen and empower Fitchburg priority neighbors. He was the first chair of the H&I committee starting in 2018 and remained chair until 2022. Then he served as a committee vice chair from 2022 until eventually stepping down from the H&I committee early this year. Ryan has strongly support the inclusive playground at McKee Farm Park. He's a vocal advocate for the neighborhood hub at North Fishhatchery Road, and he continued to stay connected with the STEAM Center project of West Verona Road. Ryan also participated in Fitchburg hiring committees, as well as help plan community outreach events. Ryan finds Fitchburg to be a unique and extraordinary place to live and raise a family because of its wonderful diversity and the tremendous opportunity it has to offer to all the people. So Ryan, come here. Congratulations. No, thank you for coming. Yeah. Oh, here? Okay, over here. Okay, do you want to say something?
What's that?
Do you want to say something?
Oh, do I say something?
You want to.
Oh my goodness.
You can say.
I didn't realize this was a speaking event, I guess. Well, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I don't know what to say. I feel like I don't deserve it, but I appreciate the recognition. You know, I do want to say the thing about Fitchburg is that it's just a wonderful place to live. You know, my wife and I, we moved here 20 years ago, and I think we weren't sure of how long we were going to stay here, and we just ended up falling in love with this place. And a lot of it has to do with just the incredible diversity that Fitchburg has to offer. And it's just a wonderful place for all people. It's welcoming to all people. And so, and it's a great place to raise children, and that's, you know, we ended up staying. That's why we ended up staying. So anyway, I appreciate it. I'd like to stay involved so that I can help Fitchburg grow and continue to be a warm and welcoming place for all people. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So the new category, I promised Lisa that, you know, I am not going to continue to add new categories, you know. So this one is for a small business award, ADESIS IT Solution. And it was founded in 1997 by President Jason Adamani. ADESIS has been a cornerstone in providing reliable IT consulting services for small to mid-sized businesses throughout the greater Madison area. With a mission to simplify IT management, ADESIS allows businesses to operate smoothly without the burden of a large-scale in-house IT investment. By offering tailored solutions, they have earned a reputation as a trusted expert in helping companies manage and maintain their critical IT infrastructures. But ADESIS is more than just an IT solution company. They are deeply rooted in the community. Their long-standing partnership with the Fitchburg Chamber of Commerce highlight their commitment to fostering local economic growth and supporting regional businesses. Beyond their professional work, ADESIS has significantly impacted by supporting various local causes, including the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County, Clean Lakes Alliance, Leopold Elementary School, Fitchburg Splat Pad, and the Fitchburg Library, among many others. Their dedication to community well-being showcases the belief that in giving back and making a lasting difference. So here we have the president and vice president. I said Jason and Kevin, congratulations. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to say something?
Mayor? Sure, I'll make
Yeah? You want to say? Okay, 1 second. Okay, here.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Certainly honored to receive this, and we're in great company tonight. Congratulations to Ryan and Kevin and Bike Fitchburg and Sub-Zero. We've been part of the Fitchburg community since '99 now, so we're celebrating 25 years in Fitchburg, and much like Ryan has communicated, we enjoy the community. My brother and I were raised in a family that giving back to the community and being involved was important. And that's something that the rest of our staff at Odessus, we've got a staff of about 20 people, all get involved in Giving Tuesday and look for opportunities throughout the year to give back to our community. We think that's important. So nice to receive an award to recognize all the hard work that our staff does. It is a team effort. And so thank you very much.
Thank you. Kevin, do you want to say something? No? No? Okay. Okay, so next one is Large Company Award, and is Sub-Zero Group. Sub-Zero Group, Inc., based in Madison and Fitchburg with its global campus, Sub-Zero Group, has been at the forefront of appliance manufacturing since 1945. As a third-generation family-owned company, they produce the premium brand Sub-Zero, Wolf, and Cove. Renowned for pioneering appliance innovation and excelling in customer satisfaction, Sub-Zero Group is a hallmark of excellence in the industry. In 2019, Sub-Zero expanded its operation in Fitchburg with a 350,000 square foot in a research and development facility. The $7 million project created 100 jobs. The city of Fitchburg is grateful that Sub-Zero continued to invest in our city with another $20 million project approved this year in '24. Beyond its economic contribution, Sub-Zero Group is deeply involved in community support through its Sub-Zero Group Foundation. Since its inception, the foundation had invested more than $4 million in local causes. Much of this funding supports food security initiatives, including $500,000 donation to the River Food Pantry, which serves thousands of individuals weekly. So with that, we have Scott Waring. He's the Vice President of Operations. Scott, congratulations. Oh, sorry. Okay, here he is. Do you want to say something?
Oh, it's a speaking engagement, yeah.
Yeah, you have to.
Okay, so thank you all for this award. Thank you for this recognition. I am just here to receive it. I'm not the person that's done all of these wonderful things. I do want to send regards from our owner and our CEO, Jim Bakke. He regrets that he was unable to be here tonight. These are the kinds of things that are important to him because we're a family-owned business. I also really want to recognize that while we appreciate the award, we recognize Fitchburg, the city, you, the team here. We grow and thrive in Fitchburg, not purely because of what we are, but because of the partnerships we have. So again, really appreciate the award, the recognition, but I want to turn that right back around and recognize you, the city. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So next one is the not-for-profit award for Bike Fitchburg. Bike Fitchburg, Inc. Is a Fitchburg leading voice for safe, accessible, and enjoyable biking and walking. It was founded in 2015 as a Fitchburg Bicycle Advocates and officially incorporated under its current name in 2017 with this 401c3 as a passionate all-volunteer board that drives a not-for-profit. Together, they harness the energy and dedication of community volunteers to fulfill the mission, making biking and walking easier, safer, and more fun, and more equitable for everyone. In close collaboration with city officials, Bike Fitchburg is continually working to expand biking access and safety across the city. Their community-focused events and initiatives reflect their dedication to creating a vibrant, inclusive biking culture. From Bike to Work Day to a slow roll ride, bike playgrounds, and safety classes, Bike Fitchburg brings people together to celebrate biking as a healthy, sustainable, and fun mode of transportation. So here we have Steve Arnold that is going to receive the award, and we have a lot of people from Bike Fitchburg. So thank you, guys. I don't know if they want to come here to take the picture. Congratulations. Oh, hello.
Some on the other side, too.
Okay, are you ready?
Everybody in close.
Okay.
Close.
Oh, this one. Okay.
Oh.
Well, Nancy's
warmed
taking
it all
video.
up for you.
Nancy's taking
I've
picture.
got one of them things.
You got it?
We can send you the picture, Steve.
I've got one.
Okay.
Troublemaker.
Just suck it in, Steve.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So, Steve, this is for you and for your team. Do you want to say something? I imagine that you want to say. 1 second.
I would like to do that.
There.
Would you hold that?
Yes.
So with me are our board of directors and some of our super volunteers and one of our advisory board, and it's a team effort. We believe that there are so many things that biking can do to improve things. Whenever more people bike, it helps the whole community, even those people who don't bike, whether it's health or the environment or traffic congestion or fun. So we work to keep biking ever more safe and easy and fun and equitable. So we thank you for the award, and we thank the city and our other main partner, the Chamber of Commerce, for all your partnerships, and we look forward to continuing.
Okay.
Thank you very much for this award.
No, thank you. Okay. Okay, thank you, guys. Okay, where is, yeah, okay. So, and then the last one. Okay. The last one is staff. We are congratulating Kevin Richmond, who is a recipient of the Mayoral Award. Kevin is a supervisor in the Public Works Department and has been selected as the 2024 recipient for the 2024 Mayoral Award. He was voted by his peer for his outstanding commitment and dedication. Kevin exemplified the values and spirit of a public service that keep Fitchburg running smoothly and safely. Kevin has a challenging role as the Buildings and Grounds Maintenance Supervisor. As a working supervisor, he performed the duties of identifying and fixing building repairs, contracting professional services, and supervising his team related to facility maintenance and upkeep. Much of Kevin's time is spent responding to anticipated critical repairs for ongoing city operations. He has managed to minimize the disruption of services to restore heat, water pressure, roof leaks, solar outage, pumps, and boilers. This past year, Kevin played an instrumental role in the replacement of the library chiller, so we remember that. This project was able to keep the library in operation while the chiller was replaced over 2 months this past spring. What truly set Kevin apart is that he worked continually until the issue is resolved, attending to matters day and night. He and his staff keep the facility clean and performing routine painting, repairs, and office reorganization. His expertise and hard work allow us to continue offering public service with minimal interference. This one was said by Tim Volker, our Director of Public Works. So congratulations, Kevin. Come on. Oh, you're fine. Okay, do you want to say something?
Absolutely not.
Only one thing. No? No?
I'm speechless.
You're speechless?
Speechless.
Okay, thank you, Kevin, for all you do. Oh, we need to take the picture, the group picture. We need to take the group picture. All the awardees, please. No, no, we take the picture.
Oh, we gotta do recess first? Should I do a recess?
Oh, yes, please.
I'll make a motion to recess.
Second.
All in favor of recessing for how many minutes? We're going to do 5 minutes? Say aye. Aye. Nays? Motion carries. We are recessed for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Gabriel. We had to do it.
I'll move to reconvene the meeting.
So move.
All those in favor of reconvening the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. So next, 4.b is a presentation and discussion of the adoption of the City of Fitchburg strategic planning by our consultant, Alison Brunet. So the time that we are going to allocate here, max, is an hour, okay? And then if you have question, comment, this is your time after you're done, Alison. So okay, go ahead.
Okay, great. Do I need to do something? Okay. Please hold, folks.
We need to approve all of this. Or we can go after.
Can I borrow you again? Can I have it on? Can I not have it extended so I can see my display view with my notes? Like if.
Okay. So.
Yeah, we're going to move 2 items. It'll be the 2 plan commission items. It'll be 2 and 3.
Scott. Thank you, Scott.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to move plan items, or items 8A, 2, and 3 to now in the agenda.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of moving these 2 items, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. Okay, so.
I will move approval of ordinance 2024-035, zoning ordinance amendment granting specific implementation plan zoning for rezone request RZ 257324 by Jeff Hundley, agent for Wingler Real Estate LLC, to rezone property from PDD GIP, Plan Development District General Implementation Plan, to PDD SIP, Plan Development District Specific Implementation Plan, to permit a commercial development on property located at the corner of Fitchrona and McKee Road.
Okay, did the plan commission approve?
Plan approved.
Do you want to tell us?
Yeah, I can do
it.
I can do. We've been through. You guys have seen this project multiple times in multiple different approvals, but now we're at the PDD SIP phase. As a reminder, we previously approved the multifamily lot that's in the back behind the Wingler Quarry. That's separate from this. This project, this approval is the 4 commercial lots that face McKee. They're similar in nature to business highway, business general zoning, but because there's higher architectural standards and because of the nature of the corridor, it's PDD so that there's a little bit more control for the design. The 4 businesses are going to be a McDonald's, a Chick-fil-A, a car wash, and a Chase Bank. A couple of things about this. There are traffic concerns that they're still working through. I did ask if it's normal to have that type of concerns at this part of the PDD process, and they said yes. It's something they're working through and are confident that they can get a resolution for. If you look at the design in terms of the traffic flow, most of the traffic into these 4 businesses will be off of Fitchrona Road. They'll turn from McKee onto Fitchrona. But there is also an entrance on McKee, and it's only a right in, right out. So it's not going to be just because of the nature of how that divided highway is. But there is an entrance exit at McKee Road as well. And then they will add that sidewalk that fronts McKee, which does not exist right now. And as I noted in the meeting, there is a bus stop that drops off there that does not currently have a sidewalk, and that will be one of the early things they do in the as they're developing the property. There is a bit of parking. We had a good discussion about that. It's a little bit determined by the businesses that are in place. They have their own requirements for how much parking they want. So that's driving some of the parking. And there is not shared parking between the businesses. It was brought up that there's probably not sufficient bike parking. So developers said that they can add bike parking as they move into the next phase. And yes, that's my summary. Thanks.
Okay, and we have here Jeffrey Handley, the developer, and Chris Dawson. Do you want to make any additional comments? Okay, that's it? Okay, and also we have Diana. I don't know. Any question, comment? Nicole?
I was just wondering just the decision around and background around not having shared parking. I would love to understand a bit more why these are separate lots and there's not kind of like a shared parking area.
Well, hello there.
Welcome. Great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So the individual businesses have certain requirements for inside seating, drive-through, et cetera. And to actually share a parking lot, it just doesn't work for them.
And also, the other comment that it was discussed in Plan Commission, it was that, McDonald's and Chick-fil-A, they have their own design and requirements, so we cannot go against those one. So.
One thing I would like to point, with the if you look at the totality of the development, the multifamily, one of the reasons we picked the developer that's doing the multifamily is the parking there is 270 units, I think, and I think there's only 70 outdoor parking spaces. And so if you look at the totality, we've tried where we can make an input on parking, we've tried to do so, and that's one area. We're working on a second multifamily building that would be similar. So the parking that you'll see on the overall 32 and a half acres, in the end, we think will be substantially less than a typical development. But still, the individual users, the Chick-fil-A's, they're just not there yet. They have their own corporate.
Okay. I mean, just as a general piece of feedback, it's just frustrating that the operators are allowed to set those standards. At the same time, I've been to a Chick-fil-A and the drive-thrus are crazy. So also part of me says like it might be safer to actually have that kind of sectioned off, right? And not have a bunch of shared parking lots. So I wish they could be shared, but also like it's not something, a hill I'm willing to die on. Just thank you for the background.
Yeah.
Bill.
I've previously made my feelings known, and my mind has not changed. Drive-through businesses, especially in this area, are just a poor choice, and I will be voting against this. Floor area ratios of 0.1. This is kind of ridiculous. All this car traffic is going to make things dangerous for the people who do want to walk across the street to go to Target or Hy-Vee. This would be a perfect place for some more housing with a vertical mixed use would be incredible right here. But drive-through businesses really have no place within a city.
Any other comment, question? Oh, Joe, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of second what Bill said. I support the increase of housing in the area, but just considering this is an H&I neighborhood, just like the addition of more fast food, more drive-through, more kind of pass-through businesses rather than kind of the opportunity for local walkable businesses is not something I'm a super fan of. I've also expressed that to the developer, but I just want to make that known publicly.
Okay, thank you. Nicole?
How do we reconcile the Healthy Neighborhood Initiative and the businesses that we choose to put there? Like, is there a a mandate within our Healthy Neighborhoods initiatives that states, for example, that we're not trying to put more unhealthy food options within those neighborhood locations?
No.
No.
No, it's not in the language. In the...
Okay.
Because the Healthy Neighborhoods Initiative, it hasn't really been fleshed out beyond the grant program.
Exactly,
That's the
yeah.
thing. It's like it could be, but really besides the Neighborhood Navigators is, I guess, the one piece that's beyond the grant program. But I think that's part of what we're looking to explore with the new community development specialist is how can we flesh out that program into more aspects, and that could include something like the types of businesses you put in an area.
Yes, David.
I just want to weigh in. I live there. I live in that neighborhood. I have for 37 years. We'll soon have a Hispanic grocery store right on Williamsburg Way. A quick trip, provide some food. You cross Verona, you cross McKee. We have Aldi, Target. Hy-Vee, a little higher scale, but there are, compared to many neighborhoods, compared to Southdale or whatever. I think access to places that have food is pretty good here compared to a lot of places in the city. We have brand new neighborhoods where they have to drive 2 or 3 miles to get anywhere. So I think it's a good fit. That's all.
Any other comment, question? No? Okay. So all those in favor
Can we get a
of
roll
all-
call?
Oh, roll call? Okay, roll call.
Alder Allen is absent. Alder Dantzler Jr.
Aye.
Alder Gerhardt.
Aye.
Alder Herps. Aye. Alder Jutser.
Nay.
Alder Maldonado.
Nay.
Alder Rafadari.
Nay.
Alder Wheeler.
Aye.
The
4-3, motion
okay,
carried.
the motion carried. Thank you, and thank you for, for continuing investing in that corridor, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, so next, we move to the next one, Gabriela. Do we have anything?
Yes, I will move approval of Ordinance 2024-036, zoning ordinance amendment granting general implementation plan zoning for rezone request RZ 257424 by Gregory Held, agent for David Fahey, to rezone property from RL, low-density residential, to PDD GIP, Plan Development District General Implementation Plan, to permit a development consisting of a multifamily residential facility and a proposed school on property associated with 5335 Nobel Drive.
Did Plan Commission approve?
Plan approved.
Okay, what is this?
Just one moment while I pull up my notes. So this is the Fahey development area. We changed this last year to high and medium density. The plan was originally for like a bigger school, if you'll recall, but it's been downsized a little bit. Now we're looking at 115 multifamily units and a smaller lot for a future school that's still in development, or I guess a tenant has not been identified yet. Those 150 units have 184 parking stalls, 111 which are underground. My understanding from the developers is that they intend to put more of those underground if feasible, which they'll work on as they go through the process. Since parking is definitely an interest, it's a 1.7 to 1 ratio, which is good for the other developments they've done for these types of developments. But they wanted to put more of those stalls underground. The cost is a market rate, but there's a variety of different housing types. There are townhomes, garden level apartments, and other apartments, so it's kind of a nice variety. They did not consider owner-occupied specifically because how challenging it is to develop owner-occupied townhomes. So it is rental units, and that's the report.
And David Fahey is registered to answer question. So any comments? Oh, go ahead, Nicole.
Sorry, I just wanted to confirm, is this a proposed school, like a daycare, or school through a school district?
Here is David.
More like a daycare, Montessori school. There is, the school districts will not, we're at the corner of Oregon and Madison school districts. So we've been through this process for 2009, the initial plan was approved. So we were part of the Oregon, talked to the Oregon when they expanded, and it's at the corner. So they were not interested in coming, and we're not willing to When the school districts were founded in 1960, my father and grandfather chose Oregon, so I'm not going to switch to Madison.
Okay, any other question, comments? No?
I guess
Okay.
just as a follow-up, is the assumption correct that both within this housing unit, but also due to the expansion in this area, that there would be a rather high need for, I mean, to be clear, we don't have enough daycare in the United States of America, period. We do not have enough daycare facilities in Madison, period.
We're leaving it open at this time.
Okay.
We have no one that's approached us, so we are not changing the zoning right now.
Okay, gotcha, thank you.
Okay, any other comments, question? Okay, all those in favor of ordinance 2024-0-33, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay. Thank you. Bye, David. Thank you for coming. Okay, so next we are coming back to the item 4B, so the presentation of the strategic plan.
Okay. Wanted to make sure we cleared the whole room out before I got started. Well, it's great to be back here, although I did tell Adam, I don't know if the U-verse really wanted me here today, because as I hit the belt line, a rock hit my windshield.
Oh.
So luckily I'm staying overnight, and I'll be supporting a local business getting that fixed in the morning. But hopefully the rest of the evening goes better than the beginning of it. So I've been here since this afternoon, and I had the opportunity to sit with the Community Equity Committee this afternoon and review the plan and solicit some feedback from them. They had a lot of substantive and thoughtful discussion, and I hope that that continues. I do have a summary over a couple slides here of some things we talked through in that meeting this afternoon. And I know that Alder Danzler as well as Adam were at that meeting, as well as they have additional thoughts to add. My thought for this evening is to recap in short our process we've been through over the past 10 months. And then, yes, that's how long it's been, 10 months, and we're not done yet. Recap that process and then summarize for you the goals and objectives within the plan, and then open space for your questions and feedback. Despite the fact that this is brought forth with a resolution attached to it following your procedure, I by no means view this as ready to adopt this evening. I think that this needs to be the first of perhaps multiple rounds of revisions and edits. I realize this is your first time seeing the document and talking about it, so I know Alder Jetzer came over before. He's like, I don't want to hurt your feelings. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Please, I welcome your feedback. So I hope that this can be the beginning of some fruitful discussions. And all of the comments that you submitted in writing, I haven't had a chance to dive into those, but I do have all of them. And I've been tabulating staff feedback as well. To keep budget reasonable on this project, I tend to have my graphic designer make all edits to the document at once. Not to get too in the weeds with you, but when you start moving page layouts around, that's when cost and hours goes up. So I want to make sure I have all of your comments, feedback, and revisions before I go back to my designer and have her edit the document. So I'll breeze through a little recap here. This process started almost a year ago when the RFP was released for this process. My firm came under contract following a competitive bidding process in February, and March was when we formally kicked off this process. You might recall all the way back in April, you possibly had a one-on-one interview with me, either in person or by phone or Zoom or with a member of my team. And we did pretty extensive community engagement throughout May, June, and July, including several workshops on site, some focus groups in different neighborhoods, as well as those hosted here at City Hall. We had the draft of the plan, which is pretty close to what you're seeing today, to city staff in August. The Strategic Planning Committee and staff proposed edits throughout the fall. We held off through the election to have budget come together and finalized. And then, of course, you're seeing the plan this week. Our engagement efforts were fairly robust, but as I'll discuss as the Community Equity Committee reviewed, I would say that there's great room for improvement and that the Community Equity Committee is concerned that enough diverse voices were not captured in this process. It's not for lack of trying, and I think that this is a facet that many communities are experiencing, not just Fitchburg, although I will note that we had by per capita lower engagement here in Fitchburg than I've seen in other communities. And I think one of the challenges that we talk through in this plan about finding and understanding Fitchburg's unique identity is possibly going to be key to addressing that in the future. So some of the engagement efforts we had included hosting an interactive strategic planning website, launching a survey which was available in English and Spanish. We had a little over 300 respondents, so that's about 1% of your population. It's not what we'd hoped for. I will also note the survey was hosted in a translated Spanish language version, and we had 3 participants take the Spanish language survey. So we did not have as robust participation as we'd hoped. Well, okay, 2 other than the mayor. I didn't even know that until now. I would have just said 2. We also had some on-site, what we'll call pop-up presence, where we were talking about opportunities for engagement with residents on-site. I think these were actually some of the most effective ways to reach residents. We had postcards printed in English and Spanish that had links to the survey as well as the Social Pinpoint interactive website. And some of those pop-up presences took place at events such as Bike Week functions, the mobile food pantry, concerts at McKee, and at the senior center during a meal. We also hosted 25 individual interviews with staff and city council members, as well as the mayor, and we hosted, while on site, 8 department focus groups. So it was an option for each city department, if they desired and if their schedule permitted, to either offer a deep dive tour of their department so that I could understand better the functionality or challenges that they face. So I took deep dive tours of the EMS and fire facilities. And then other departments opted to do focus groups where I was able to meet some with their leaders and department heads, some without, and provide employees an opportunity to share their feedback. I didn't charge you guys any extra for that. That wasn't included in the scope either. But I do find in large organizations that having employees participate a little bit deeper into the org chart helps with buy-in. If employees recognize the process and feel engaged before it shows up on their desk or in their performance review, they have a little bit more buy-in. As I mentioned, I was at the Community Equity Committee this afternoon, and the key concerns from that committee was really that they felt that representative voices of the community were not included in this process, and that unfortunately, the city would really need to focus on what they called culturally appropriate engagement efforts in the future, which include having more on-site opportunities for engagement that include childcare, include food, include interpretation services, include cultural touchstones, be it food or entertainment, really making engagement more of a way of welcoming community members to come together versus seeming so structured and formal as a city meeting. They also shared that they felt that the entire plan would suffer under the fact that there has not been diverse representation, and equated their perspective of the voices as though it was, the loudest voices on Facebook or next door, and that this plan is reiterating some of those sentiments, and that perhaps because this is the plan we have, we can make efforts to just acknowledge, and perhaps there's even space for a preface here to acknowledge that we were not 100% satisfied with the lack of with the sort of monoculture engagement we had, not being representative of the communities that live here, and ensure that we are measuring what could be the worst case scenarios. Will harm be caused by any of these goals or objectives? Will it have a disparate impact on different communities? As well as strategizing for your next strategic plan in 2030, how can you ensure that you have better outcomes with engagement? And there were some specific comments for each of the 6 goals we went through tonight. We did not make it through all of them in our 2-hour meeting, but as I opened up to that group, and I will open up to you, I of course am open to feedback, revisions, edits. You will not hurt my feelings if you send me a redlined version. I'm happy to take all of that feedback and then sort of consolidate those edits into a revised document. The Equity Committee also noted that they feel it's very important that metrics across this document are equity focused, and that there's assurance that investments made as directed with this plan are made equitably, and wants to understand what their role might look like to continue to support both council and departments and administration in measuring equitable impact over the next 5 years. So my goals for this evening would be for you to understand the 8 goals within this plan in its draft format, to solicit your feedback and answer specific questions, and identify what is missing. I always like to preface when I deliver a draft of a plan to say that I really pride myself on not taking creative liberty with what I hear. With the exception of one goal, which I will tell you which one that is, all of the goals and objectives here came directly out of our workshops. All of the SWOT analysis pieces that we worked through came directly from your survey. So if there's something you feel is missing in this plan, it's because it did not come forth naturally in any of our engagement efforts. That might immediately lead us to say, okay, we didn't have the right mix of voices or we didn't ask the right questions. Perhaps that's the case. But if there's something missing that you feel is critical to have in this plan, we need to talk through it because it did not emerge naturally or organically in the engagement efforts we had. So, like I said, again, any revisions, comments, specific edits you have, feel free to either send to me directly or send through Adam if you want administration to take a look at it first. Those will all be consolidated. If you could, being mindful of the holiday, please send me any edits that you might have by December 12th. I can also plan on, I'm not planning on giving another presentation, but on the 10th, if you discuss this further at your next council meeting, I can take any comments you might have there and incorporate that. That gives me and my designer some time to edit the document and bring you back a revised document for your January council meeting, where I'd imagine hopefully we have most of the revisions complete at that point and you'll have a document ready for adoption. I'm happy to attend that meeting virtually as well if desired. Like I said, the universe does not want me here, clearly. I'm going to total my car next time I'm here. Yes.
I was just going to say, before you jump into your presentation, so I'm not interrupting you at all.
Give me a break. Go ahead.
No, yeah. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about like some of the comments that were expressed from the Community Equity Committee. Allison pretty much hit on the head like a lot of the things that they were talking to. And one of the things that the committee really wants to happen is this process, like we're basically where they came in, like having this done, and then they came in and they're kind of responding after the fact, was kind of hard for individuals because they weren't able to like really digest the information versus being like brought in or looped in at the beginning of the process and kind of help create the infrastructure that's driving this process around a lot of the community and equity issues that we saw. So, I mean, sentiments were expressed around some of the things that Allison mentioned around how we could potentially reach some of the marginalized or historically disadvantaged communities that did not necessarily respond to the survey in large numbers, as we had like a 1.3 response rate or something like that. So just take that into consideration, is that like that's the thing, like why it's there, and they're hoping that these things involve to be able to talk to the community and to speak to those types of individuals in the community more. And then the other big thing was just being mindful of generalizing the claims that come from like the survey part as it relates to all different communities, as everybody's voice, like given the responses, weren't necessarily highlighted in the responses that we come. And this is no knock to Allison or her group. It's really just the data and what it says. So just being mindful around, if we're making a lot of decisions and policy around this, whose voice is being put forth in terms of the individuals that responded. So I just wanted to say that and put it out there. And that was what the committee really wanted to highlight and talk about.
To add to that, I do think this is not to take us off track, but I do think there's a procedural interest that I have in what you stated, Donald, because I think that's fair feedback. And was any other committee engaged in this process? No. I think the diversity committee is different, and I think it would be cool to discuss how that committee, like as a follow-up, how is that committee engaged differently than other committees? And what part of like city planning processes should that committee just weigh in on? Because hopefully that committee just helps develop policy that then gets referred to city council and that policy is then implemented. But since we don't yet have that policy, it is kind of like a committee unlike others. So again, nothing to do with this report, but I think it was just, as you were saying it, Donald, I was like, well, no other committee was pulled into this, but this committee is very different. So I think it's a good point.
And to that point, like we got to keep in mind too, like this committee is still ad hoc, so they're very new. They're in the infant stages, and we have to decide like at the year point or when Madam Mayor suggests like at some point they're going to come before council with some of the things that have been developed so far. So like we just shared the mission and vision with the mayor, and allowing her time to respond to what has been come up with. So at some point they will come and we'll have to vote as a council around what we will do moving forward. around that committee.
I also just want to note too, I didn't run this by anyone, so I'm kind of spitballing here. I really feel I'm a straight shooter. I've heard some feedback, secondhand and firsthand, that some folks have not been really satisfied with what my firm's brought forth, and fair enough. The procurement processes, if equity and racial inclusion and this emphasis on diverse community engagement is a goal, that needs to be spelled out in RFPs. It was, frankly, a big surprise to me in May of this year to hear all of a sudden it was a goal to have this level of diverse engagement, because there was nothing stated in the RFP that suggested that. And look, I'm a white chick from Princeton, New Jersey. The only diversity I have in my family is that my late father emigrated from England, okay? I'm not the girl if you wanted that level of engagement. And I can acknowledge that if those were the goals, perhaps I was not the right hire. I want to have you have a product that's functional and useful, but it does beg the question, in your procurement processes, are you centering an equity lens, and how are you ensuring that the consultants you bring into this community bring that experience level that you desire? I might not have been the right hire. I hope you're happy with the product and the investment you've made, but I do feel that perhaps my firm was not the best fit for some of the goals that have been voiced mid and end of process.
To be fair, like, it wasn't all on you, because I think the council, take some name from that too, just a little bit, because like where the committee was, we formed after. Yeah, after you had already started your processes. So like some of the stuff you had, and I didn't stop people today, they don't know like when this started, but being on council, I know and like have an idea of how they're coming in on the back end. So that's why you received some of the information you did. And I meant to talk to you, but you were talking to Chris. I didn't get a chance to share that with you and why I didn't stop the discussion, but some of it is on our end as well. And I didn't share that widely with the group yet. Alex knows, but like the others didn't. So that's why some of the comments you heard this evening were the way they were around inclusiveness and like, we wish we could have been brought in at this time. So that wasn't on you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Again, you don't have to not worry about hurting my feelings. I'm good. But I do want to say that I think there's a lesson here that in the future, once that equity committee's clear mission has been defined, once it's moved away from being ad hoc, that there's meaningful engagement in your procurement process. So right at the very beginning, to ensure that those goals are met. So, and I hope that we can take the product we have and revise it so that we are openly acknowledging that we didn't have the level of diverse engagement we wanted, and that we are mindful of potential harmful impacts that might come if we are not mindful of utilizing an equity lens throughout implementation. You good for me to keep going? Okay. So what does implementation look like? What do the next few months look like? Like I said, I want to bring this plan back to you with those revisions and edits.
Allison, I'm sorry. I don't know if you can see it, but I think Joe wanted to say something before you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't see that at all.
Yeah, not a problem. And I appreciate your candor as well. I think one thing just to bring into the space is that and our HR director can probably speak a lot better to this because she used to work there, but I know the city of Madison has a racial equity and social justice tool, essentially, that many processes are brought through that tool. So just kind of calling out that as the DEI committee evolves, becomes an official committee rather than an ad hoc. I'm sure, the idea of when we're creating processes, any type of process, that, we have some sort of stick to measure against and set of questions that we can actually ask to vet things. So just kind of speaking to the point that, everybody has brought up so far, there's tools for that.
Yeah, please let me know if I can't see that on my side, so please let me know so I don't steamroll past Joe's input. Okay, so what do the next few months look like here? So despite the fact that we don't have the plan fully fleshed out, I run an implementation training for department heads that really walks them through best practices and how to integrate the strategic planning skills we've honed over this summer into their day-to-day issue identification and management? How do they integrate their objectives and goals at a departmental level so that all employees understand and can relate their day-to-day work back to the strategic goals? So that implementation training is really skills and tools based. It's not necessarily tied to a finished product yet, but I will be running those workshops remotely next week. And then as a part of my contract, I not only record and make that available, I also offer ongoing support when new department heads start over the course of the 5-year lifespan. So I hope that city leadership knows they can continue to use me as a resource for new incoming leaders within the organization. We'll bring back the plan in January. Hopefully it'll be in a state ready for adoption at that point. And then goal 0, and I know I got some feedback. People really hate goal 0, but there's a reasoning behind it. So let me try to sell it to you. And then if you really hate it, we'll change it to 1, okay? So I like to say goal 0 is preparing the city for its strategic plan. I have a lot of clients in this space, and they're all so gung-ho to hit the ground running. But I like to say before you hit the ground running, you have to have a plan in place, a plan for the plan. So I label it goal 0 to really send the message clearly that you're not quite ready to get to work just yet. Goal 0 is all about preparing the city to have the data infrastructure in place to measure goals, which means ensuring that you've identified and shared consensus on what the data measures are. You have the tools and technology in place to capture them, and you have a system in place that aligns with your performance review or human resources office to ensure that it's not optional to implement goals. Departments are motivated and have their performance tied back to goal implementation. So we really focus on year 0 or year 1 being around building the infrastructure and training in those skills. Another piece that's unique to government is, unlike a private sector company where maybe they get shareholder feedback a few times a year or quarterly, customer feedback is constant in local government, which can make it very hard to stay on task. You may put a goal out there, but then you have a resident or a hot button issue or development come forth, and all of a sudden you're inundated with feedback. So part of staying on task with your strategic goals is creating space for issues management, because emerging issues are a reality in local government. One of the skill sets that we coach and teach through the implementation training for staff members is how to make space to capture issues in an ongoing basis, and then use some of the techniques we practiced in our strategic planning workshops to actually go through, identify root cause of those issues, and constantly be strategizing and innovating on how to solve those issues, as well as creating an open feedback loop with elected officials where you know if you share a concern with a staff member, a timeline for when you'll hear back on that issue, so that staff members feel that they can focus on their job and their day-to-day tasks, but also have dedicated space carved out for emerging issue management. So again, if you really hate 0, I'll change it to 1. So let's talk about hybrid external and internal goals. Hybrid goals are goals that are neither clearly fit in the bucket of an internal goal or an external goal. They sort of mishmash between both. And when we say internal goals, it relates to how elected officials interact with staff and how they accomplish their day-to-day work. External facing goals either relate to how community members live in this community or the quality and way services are delivered from the city to residents. So hybrid goals are sort of between the two. And we had 3 in this regard. You'll see years or a range of years under each goal. We had sent a follow-up survey that asked you to prioritize each of the objectives or goals and rate them against one another. So how critical is this that you feel we address this, either individually and then compared to the other goals within the plan? So the years that are attached to them reflect the prioritization that you shared when you answered those questions. And that survey was open to both staff members and elected officials. Of course, if you feel that some of these date ranges are inappropriate, we can again look to revise them. The year that you see is when the last part of a goal would be implemented. You'll see when you get into kind of the thick of the strategic framework, which is the back section of the plan where it's all in tables, you'll see that sometimes elements of a goal are implemented sequentially. One might be in year 1, year 2, year 3. We also have a little bit of a science of how much of the plan we have implemented at any given time. We front load the first 2 years with about 40% of the objectives, planning on you to fail. The idea being nobody actually gets stuff done as quickly as they think they will, but if we give you too much to do in years 1 and 2, you won't be overwhelmed and have 70% of your plan not done in year 5. So there's a little bit of a science to it as well. So goal 1, and I'll walk through kind of how these are all tied to the SWOT analysis. Goal 1 was Fitchburg's unique identity and needs merit thoughtful problem solving, not one size fits all or copy paste. And this tied back to, in our SWOT analysis, 2 weaknesses. One was that Fitchburg isn't an imitation of any other Dane County community, and that's okay. And the second was this idea of old Fitchburg versus new Fitchburg. So the idea that Fitchburg sometimes feels like it's trying to keep up with the Joneses of what other Dane County communities are doing, but without the same resources. And the idea that there are folks that have been in Fitchburg for a long time and are uncomfortable with the direction that Fitchburg is moving into, but there's also a need to honor your newer residents who have different expectations for both services and what Fitchburg looks like, and the difficult challenge that leads to managing that. So goal 1 really talks about how to ensure that new developments include social capital infrastructure so that residents feel connected to one another and they have access to diverse neighborhoods, resources like schools, amenities, whether they be for recreation or for food, like we were kind of talking about in the HNIs, as well as being very clear with residents what the boundaries are of urbanization and what the process looks like for changing urbanization to have more development happen. There was, through the feedback we heard, a concern with the pace of development, but also a sense that the way these processes work for zoning changes or developments, the residents hear about it too late. Now, I've heard that literally everywhere I've worked, and some of it is folks just aren't maybe paying attention to the nuances that are popping up on plan commission agendas. Fair enough. But how do you have easy to digest and understand information that walk residents through what those processes look like, and maps that are not buried in a comprehensive plan that explain what the future vision is for certain areas, so that it's not a surprise to a resident when they see development happen. Any questions on goal 1 before we move on to goal 2?
Do you want our feedback on some of the, my assumption, I took notes on objective 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Do you want us to just provide those kind of in a summary format to you as you're going through, or do you want?
That works for me. I mean, I know I have all of your written feedback, so maybe summary would be best.
I can do. I can give you kind of the high hits. I think just in general. I want to make sure maybe this is feedback on all of the objectives. The first one is that, and we tried to do this a lot on school board when we were writing our policies, and it was really stinking hard. But I want to make sure that none of our data measurements are just checking that we completed a process, and that they are actually saying, okay, number of major agricultural landowners connected with annually, and their sentiment on that connection. So not just checking a box. And then I think the other piece is in light of our failed referendum, some of this stuff, again, in my head, I was just defaulting to this would have been the comms director. We didn't get approved funding for the comms director. The citizens did not support that. So who's going to do this? Because I think feedback we've heard time and time again is that city staff resources are short. So putting more work on their plate, again, another thing school districts often do to teachers is they come up with 5 million initiatives and they have the same amount of time during the day. So I think in general, through all of that, that's a good one. And I appreciate you calling out the addressing of how the comp plan works, because I will say that is a point of frustration I have in terms, and I think it's one that we need to figure out. But sometimes people in the community will come up and say this was just sprung on us, and we're we've been working on this for 4 years, but it wasn't right. But clearly there's a miscommunication there. So I just want to give voice to that appreciation for addressing that, because I think it's a huge mismatch and something that our community is struggling with.
Yeah, and I want to note too, this plan was fully drafted before the referendum. And I really want to challenge you as the budget holders this year and into the future to think through, how do you consider, I'm trying to think how to say this. How do you reevaluate where resources go? Because I think communication is a huge issue. And despite the referendum not passing, I think you need to find a way to fund it, because this has been a through line throughout this plan. And it's not an issue exclusive to Fitchburg. It seems like anybody in a communications role is kind of screaming into the void because everybody gets information in different places. And generationally, you reach one generation here and another generation, another format. We have to be inclusive of all languages, of all technology access levels. It's not as easy as it used to be, but communication seems to be a huge issue. Maybe you can't fund a comms director, but is there a way to move resources around? Is there a way to contract part of that? I don't want to see you sit on that, because I think not having a communications czar, if you will, is going to hold back implementation of a lot of these goals. And it was heard loud and clear from the residents we did hear how badly they want it. We can only imagine the residents that we didn't hear from maybe would have liked to participate had they heard about it through a communication strategy.
Right. And the feedback of like not knowing that something's being worked on, right? Like you might not hear about it. And I think it's a good balance and a good challenge for city council, because we have people also saying, you need to find a way to fund those police officers. You need to find a way to fund all these things that like the city chose not to support. And so I appreciate you giving voice to that, because I think constituents need to hear that some of the things that we're complaining about, which are very valid, not having great communication channels, are the very things we were trying to fund. And so we're going to have to get really creative, and that means some things might get cut, or that might mean we have to go one way about it. So I appreciate you giving voice to that.
Joe?
Yeah, and Allison sort of hinted at it, but I think in the absence of a communications director, things like videos and educational materials that were listed in the comp plan should be, we should find a way to invest in those through, one-time project or something like that. And I also want to just name that there was a constituent that emailed us, and I don't know if we're there yet, but the assessment related to kind of a neighborhood system of like people to find neighborhoods, essentially. I'm just concerned about the bias that might come from that and furthering inequality. And several people mentioned it besides me, but I just wanted to call it out.
With goal 2?
It was 1.4, I think.
Goal 2.
Okay.
Oh, it's goal 2?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's 2.
sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'm ahead of myself.
So if there's not
Yeah.
any more immediate feedback on goal 1, I can move into goal 2.
I have goal 1.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Mine specifically, I sent written comments, so there's more than this, but the primary one I have a concern with is objective 1.3, the financial sustainability of services and programs within Fitchburg drives decision-making. The key problem I have with this is it's just, we have to have a balanced budget, right? So obviously, financial constraints drive decision-making. It can't not, because it's literally how it works. And, I've spent years writing dozens of budget amendments to try to move money around to kind of match priorities that I thought reflected what the community thought. So I know how tough that is, and that's how important that is. And also how much of a concern it is from a staff perspective in terms of vetting ideas. But if we are limiting the development of ideas based on a potential financial concern, we're never going to come up with good ideas. And you can't stop an idea from forming because it might not be able to be funded. And if you haven't explored an idea, you can't even know whether or not it's going to be funded. Like, you could try to create an operating budget, but there's no real way to know until you know what the scope and the size of a building will be. So the operating budget can't come first. It just can't. It never can. You can probably do some estimates early on. That would probably be good. But I guess I think it's it's the inverse of what it should be. Priorities drive budgets. Budgets don't drive priorities. It's opposite. And I think I think on the hub specifically, and about if we had this like specific objective about having financial sustainability being the driving force, you could very easily see that project never moving forward. Oh, I don't know how we're going to fund that. I don't know how we're going to do $150,000 a year. I don't know how that's going to, I could just see that immediately nixing it. There are parks in the area. It's not City of Fitchburg parks, but there are parks in the area. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know that would have happened in this, but it could happen. And under the framework, that would be what would be suggested by something like that. And so this type of framework benefits neighborhoods that are already resourced and undermines neighborhoods that are under-resourced. And the hub is the example that I think about with that. And also just I think we should also have good ideas. And we should vet good ideas, even if we don't know how we're going to fund them, because things change. A funding source could come in from somewhere else. And I think it's a real problem. So I created some red lines to soften this, but my preference actually would be to eliminate it because I think it's a real big problem.
Well, and I just want to share with you, since we're being candid, this feedback came directly from staff, and I'm just going to straight shoot with you guys. The feedback was from staff broadly across departments. We feel that City Council funds things without worrying about what operations look like. And the hub is the community-based flex space, correct? Am I recalling?
Yeah, it's like community park space.
I wasn't sure what the name of it was. Lengthy conversations with staff members saying, we don't understand what operations will look like. We don't understand who's going to be working it. We're concerned it's going to be a glorified rentable park shelter that's not open to the public because we don't have staff for it. And this concern that council wanted a visible win of doing something, but was not at all concerned about what the costs and realities looked like of running it. And a recurring theme I heard from staff was our city council loves building stuff, but they worry about the running it falling on our plate.
Okay, so yeah.
I'm just sharing that feedback.
No,
That's where
fine,
this came from. And it's your plan. If you guys want to take it out, we can.
I have the same concern. You will see in my input. I think my biggest concern, I agree with Gabriela, is we are limiting the ability to provide solution, okay? So, if we are, and I believe that priority, runs budget, not the other way. I believe in that. So, and yes, it's going to be different council, different mayor with different priorities, you know what I mean? This is normally happening. It's not something that we do here in Fitchburg. It's, you know what I mean? It's happening in every, common council. But the idea is, I think the language is too restricted for me. You know what I mean? Like we need to make it more flexible because we want people to bring ideas. People run for office because they have ideas or projects. You know what I mean? And if they get elected, it's because the people that support those candidates, they support those ideas. So I think we need to keep that flexibility because otherwise we are not going to have people bringing new ideas or solutions because we are going to be constrained with budget. We are always constrained with budget. The idea is how to find a solution to make this project happen. And regarding I don't want to go to the hub because this is another conversation. But I think we need to look for that with every project. And there are projects that already we are building something or we are planning to build, and we don't have the operational funds either, but it wasn't a council idea. You know what I mean? So we need to be consistent with what we say, don't blame the council for a lot of stuff because there are also the projects that are coming in the pipeline that we don't have the operational cost, But this is what I say. I think we need to make that language more flexible, more open, so we can generate ideas, not coming also for the council, but also for staff. Staff should be able to say, you know what about this idea? Yes, there is a budget, component, but how we can make it happen? Because otherwise we are going to be limiting this. We are going to be running in a status quo. This is my concern.
And I love the idea of joint problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of the communication challenges that exist, the dynamics between council and staff, preclude creative ideas and solutions because the feedback I heard from staff was council doesn't want to hear from us. They already have their own ideas. That's not healthy. So you should be working hand in hand to make this the best community.
Yeah, can I just add one more thing on top of that? And we can talk about this forever, but I just want to say, like, I think the work that's laid out in this plan to fix the communication and the training, communication between elected officials and staff, and also the training of elected officials would go a long way towards fixing those issues that are perceived by staff that I think are rooted in some things that happened in the past that were very real concerns. And I'm sure that I've irritated people too. Like, I'm not going to absolve myself from all, but I think that if alders are properly trained on how to interact with staff and how to develop proposals and what the reality of how to budget for something is, I think that would reduce the conflict, because there would be a better understanding of how things work and a better understanding of how to have conversations. So I think there's a way to do this, but I think the way it's written is not too limiting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to make all of the edits you send. I just wanted you to understand that this came directly from staff feedback. And we'll get into it with the goals, but the dynamics are not all in the past. They're very real and very present now. And it would be not fair to all the staff that have confidentially shared with me their experience working here. There's a lot of really talented, gifted people that I'm fearful you won't retain if you cannot fix this issue. So if you truly care about the quality of this community, which I know you all do and your hearts are in the right place, we have to come together and have better, healthier staff and council dynamics.
We have a question for Joe.
Yeah, and I know you're going to address it later, but I think the fact that we even had a retreat, which we've never had before, was a step in the right direction. So I do like the recommendation later on about maintaining that, because I think having an infrastructure that creates the ability to build relationships goes very far in any workplace, and kind of the separation between council and staff is, one that we can at least address through structure and through, ensuring we have opportunities for folks to be able to meet, talk, learn from each other, hear one another's concerns, and speak a common language.
Okay. In the interest of time, are you okay if I just kind of zip through the goals and then we open up for feedback? Yeah. Okay. So goal 2, and I know there was a lot of feedback on this one. I think this one needs some language massaging. I had said earlier that there was only one goal in the plan that did not come directly out of feedback. This was the one. So if you hate this one, that's fine. We'll take it out. This one I researched heavily. It really stuck with me how many times I heard people say Fitchburg has no identity. Fitchburg has no identity. And you have this, I guess, blessing that it is such a diverse community. Depending on where you live, you may have an incredibly different experience, where you go to school, what type of neighborhood you live in, et cetera. So I had researched this heavily and found some larger urban examples that really embraced a neighborhood level initiative to increase social connectedness at the neighborhood level and to kind of sell as a positive of the community. We welcome all, and there's a neighborhood for everyone in Fitchburg. You have to figure out how to rope in a rural dynamic, which is not a traditional neighborhood. And you have to also ensure, and this was a major focus in the Equity Committee, that this doesn't encourage people staying in their bubbles or further segregation. And as I shared with that committee, I really believe that housing and zoning reform in tandem with the neighborhood strategy ensure that people live in diverse communities, but that strong social connectedness and a sense of healthy belonging not only improves public health outcomes, it also helps people feel an identity and connection to their community. So this really offered some tangible solutions of how you might promote the quality of life and neighborhood opportunities within Fitchburg, kind of brand around it, as well as ensuring that there's targeted investments through a perhaps micro-grant program, and you can have perhaps an equity scale on where you direct those resources to empower neighborhood connection and with a light touch. And I say light touch because I haven't seen a single community that started robust neighborhood associations where those haven't just turned into sort of city bashing sessions. So I think it has to, in fact, be a light touch. We want to support and encourage social infrastructure in the community level and give neighbors a chance to build strong relationships. All right, goal 3, enhance staff and elected official collaboration, which includes a communications best practice guide. There's a draft of this In the plan in the appendix, this is based on some conversations with staff of really having a firm understanding on how to route issues and concerns, when is appropriate, what's the best communication mechanism, building on some of the topics we covered in the retreat, as well as a process to understand when you should follow up if you haven't heard anything, and creating some more robust training and onboarding for alderpersons. I truly believe that most missteps happen because someone hasn't been told what the process is. So if we can set clear expectations for all parties involved, we hopefully have fewer negative outcomes. The external goals.
Allison?
Yes.
I had a
Wait until the end.
It's just a clarifying question on one of the goals. So for the idea of kind of like distinct neighborhoods with identity, just based on your experience working with other cities, how does that work in neighborhoods in which there's very lack of a clear distinction between what municipality you're in? And that's true for 4 of our neighborhoods that I know about, which are all H&I neighborhoods, where you don't know what's Fitchburg and what's Madison. Different people in different school districts, served by different police forces and fire services. What has that looked like in other communities we worked with?
Yeah, I've not had that situation with separate school districts within one neighborhood. I would argue that's not one neighborhood, that's multiple neighborhoods. And maybe that means the neighborhood definition is too broad. I don't know.
No, the neighborhood I live in is an example of it. You basically have a, 2 or 3 square block and almost looks like a finger. And that finger is Madison, surrounded by Fitchburg. If you're in Madison, you go to MMSD. If you're in Fitchburg, you go to Verona. And it's pretty much one neighborhood. It's indistinguishable where you're in what city.
Yeah, I think that's a great point
a lot
that
of
we
is
should.
product of kind of structure. So sorry, I'll let you.
I was just going to say, I think that's a great point that merits further research. Okay, I'm going to move into goal 4, enhancing trust and city budgeting. So this tied to this sense of resource constraints. We heard from our folks that did participate in the survey and in focus groups, not disapproval with the city services they have, but this real sense of the skyrocketing cost of living in Dane County and feeling that they were not in support of increasing taxes. This was, while it was a close referendum, reinforced by the referendum. It's not disapproval necessarily of what the city's doing. It's just saying, we want you to consider different reallocation of the resources you already have. And continue to have perhaps opportunities such as participatory budgeting that educate residents on how the budgeting process works, the difficult decisions you have to make between services when you adopt a budget, and how can you route or access funds at the neighborhood level to invest directly in those high priority neighborhoods, including the HNI. Goal 5, this was probably, and we spent a lot of time talking about this at the Equity Committee, this was probably one of the more challenging goals to write. We did solicit an invitation-only focus group for NGOs, service providers that are regional, and we asked their feedback on how we could best serve residents in Fitchburg. And their response, while it was a small group of about 10 individuals from different groups, was very clear. They said, we really feel at this time that Fitchburg needs to focus on building partnerships with regional service providers and driving residents to regional service providers rather than creating new service and program lines within City Hall. They shared that they feel there's a lot of room to strengthen partnerships. I even had some people say things like, if we need XYZ or to deliver a service in Fitchburg, City of Fitchburg is not my first call because I have stronger existing partnerships and relationships. That means that there's tables where these service providers are meeting that the city is not at, and that needs to be addressed. You need to be a partner at the table and focus on ensuring that your residents have access through transportation systems and quality education on where to access the highest quality services should they need those services. Until you reach that threshold where by population you can access CDBG funds to ensure that it's community development block grant, to ensure that you can provide those services sustainably. until that point, you're kind of in this awkward teen phase where you're big enough to have the need, but small enough that you don't qualify for additional funding pools. While you're in that teenager phase where you have the need but lack the funds, how do you strengthen partnerships with your neighbors in surrounding communities that can provide those quality services? And fundamentally, how do you ensure transportation connectivity so as many of your residents as possible can reliably access those services outside the city? And then our last two goals.
Do you talk about what are those specific services?
We were specifically talking about public health, about housing, and I'd have to look back at my notes to see who attended, but those were the majority of the attendees.
That makes sense. Okay.
All right, goals 6 and 7 relate to internal operations. Obviously, this will have to be tweaked knowing that you will not be moving forward with the communications director this year, but a strong demand from residents to say we want communications in more places, and frankly, we'd actually really like to receive direct communication from our alders. At all of our focus groups, we asked questions about how would you rate communication, how would you rate your awareness, where would you like to hear from things, and I was actually surprised by this. People said, we don't want to hear from the city, we want to hear from our alder. That's who we feel connected to in our ward. And a lot of compliments for the alders that maintain an active social media presence or a newsletter like the mayor's, but a desire for more of that. So how can the city, and it's this kind of fine line of the city providing tools and infrastructure without flirting with elections rules, but how can the city support you to have consistent platforms to message and engage with residents so that they feel they're accessing this? Which I thought it was a good thing to say, no, we want to hear from them. You know, they're not sick of you guys. They want to hear more.
Did you ask them, then give them your emails? Like, were people like really down with the idea?
Yeah. And actually, we problem solved a little around that. So I asked some follow-up questions. This is why I love focus groups, because unlike a survey, you can say, hold on, let me ask another question. I'd asked if they would be open to having their emails on a listserv that stayed with the city. So like, let's say it was like, I have access to the District 4 listserv, and access to that list would change if the alders changed, and every single resident said yes. They said, I don't necessarily care enough that I have to sign up for this specific new alders list. If I'm on that list, I want to stay on that list, which I thought was awesome feedback. Okay, and then last goal would be goal 7. This is very internally focused, but focusing on the fact that you have a large percentage of your workforce that's retirement eligible in the next 5 years. What steps can city staff take using technology to document standard operating procedures, use AI to ensure you have adequate training documents and processes, and enhance your onboarding process to ensure the best possible employee retention, knowing that you have a sea change coming of change of staff and leadership roles. How do you prepare for that and ensure that institutional knowledge transfer has minimal impact on service delivery? Okay, so with that all in mind, I'd love to know what you feel is missing. If there's clarity needed in any specific areas, if there's a goal, objective, or initiative that you feel is missing that we haven't discussed or didn't come forth through this process. Is this plan inclusive enough of all of the voices that make up Fitchburg? Where can I add clarity? I'd love to just turn the floor over to you, and I'm going to disconnect and take some notes.
Who's going to start? You, Nicole? Okay.
So I will, Madam Mayor, do you want us to like give all of our feedback across multiple areas? Or would you like to say, like, does anyone have feedback on objective 0 and go that way?
I would say, like, because we are going to provide here with our...
Like big themes?
Yeah, exactly. Because you're going to get all our more detailed feedback. Yeah.
Okay.
Big themes, or if you see something missing. Because something missing, I think... I'll take, of course, all your edits, red lines, suggestions for removal from what's here, but what's not here. That's what I want to understand.
Okay. So the biggest piece that I saw not here, maybe 2 things. One, I wanted in the mission and vision something acknowledging the strength of diversity and acceptance. I think especially with our recent election and some things that have happened in our neighborhoods, there is a divisiveness and just like I want to make sure everyone in our community feels accepted and included, and I feel very strongly about those words being included. I did just want to call out on Objective 0. I left you a lot of notes there only because like IT, CRM, stand-up, and data integration is what I do for my job. And so I have a lot of thoughts on that, and namely like how do we support our city admin, and I feel very strongly that our head of IT should be involved because selection of IT systems should not be done without an IT person at the table. The other piece that I thought was, I'm just scrolling through my feedback. The other piece that I thought I wanted to incorporate was I found the feedback from city staff about the collaboration super fair. I did find that there were missing pieces in the reverse. For example, I have no idea how long I should expect to wait to hear back from city staff regarding a proposal that I have put forth. There was one I recently put forth that took me over a month to hear back anything solid from, and I didn't want to bother city staff, but I also wanted to be like, hey, I asked about this, where is it? So I think there needs to be, again, just because of sheer numbers, there's much more staff than there is council. And so I think if we're doing the most good, I'm glad that one made it in as opposed to council. I do feel like the just acknowledgement of like the precarious place council is in. I mean, we all ran for this, so we all selected this. But I do want to make sure that SLAs, and not super strict SLAs, but timeliness and some accommodation for the reverse. Sorry, service level agreements. That's a stupid acronym to use in this case. Yeah. But like, what is the returned expectation? Kind of the other side. I think that was the big piece that I saw missing. And sorry, I just want to make sure I didn't.
Nicole, check the flow chart on page 28. Because at the top, it says, I still haven't heard anything back. What do I do? And there's stuff in there that says, has it been more than 2 business days? Yes or no? I don't know if that was.
I think it is. I want it written in policy. I think oftentimes, because I think the fair point is, I guess that's my question out of all of this. So again, just going back to I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, going back to school board, we would list out all of these policies, and then every year we would meet and have the printed out version, and like staff would come forward and be like, we think we exceeded expectations, and here are all the KPIs. And they would say we had no breaches of financial misreporting, we kept our budget on this level, and blah, 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 blah. We passed audits. And then we would go through each of them. My worry is if it's just in a flow chart, it is not going to be considered at the same level of importance as something else written out as an objective. I think it gets to the spirit. I want it written out as a separate point. I think those are the only like big things.
Okay, I think it's Joe next. But I want to hear from everyone, okay?
Yeah, let others speak before I did.
Bill?
Yeah, I guess I'm still a little fuzzy on the actual scope of the strategic plan. We've got a lot of plans, comprehensive plan, housing plan, sustainability plan, et cetera. So I'm not sure, where this is supposed to overlap and where it's intentionally not supposed to overlap with those other plans. But I feel like, as has been said earlier, more verbiage about equity and inclusivity. And then also climate, environmentalism, that sort of thing.
Gabriela.
It just occurred to me as Bill was saying that we have all of these great plans, and integrating them would be a good goal. Like we have the comp plan, obviously, which drives a lot, but we're just about to adopt a sustainability plan. We have this Baker-Tilly staffing study, which is incredibly useful. But and these individual pieces are really important decision-making processes, but it's really easy for that stuff to get lost as you move through. So is there a way for us to have a goal around actually making sure that we're utilizing these tools that we've created for ourselves and these frameworks and comprehensively implementing them across the city. That's not addressed at all in here that I can see, but it just occurred to me that maybe that would be a good thing for the strategic plan to try to do.
Donna?
I mean, that's it. We pretty much talked in the earlier
okay.
meeting, and I shared sentiments, but I just feel that some of these things are, as others have expressed, are just kind of hard to really implement because of the nature of like having two different entities collaborating, like city staff who are like full-time employees versus a council where priorities can change depending, who's sitting in these seats and what they will want to see in this plan. So like where you could have somebody who runs for council that has ideas that have absolutely nothing to do with the strategic plan, and they can still, kind of move these projects or have things and push it forward. And I'm not saying it's diminishing the work. I'm just saying that adds a layer of complexity to like having these things flow. So I think that what we have is good, but we still need to delve deeper, especially in the part where there's more collaboration between the council and the staff to have some type of understanding that no matter who's in these seats or who occupy these hallways, that those things are communicated and there's a good working relationship there, and there's also mutual understanding between the two around how things are going to work. Now, I don't have a great answer right now about like how we do all of those things, but I think that's one of the biggest challenges when like implementing something like what we've been doing with the whole like strategic plan process.
Okay, Jim?
Yeah, goal 2 is something that I just can't wrap my head around. And, I'm from Philadelphia, so when you talk about neighborhoods and culture and everything, you're talking, a lot of history, how it's built, architecture, whether you want to live on the waterfront. So I just don't see how that can be transformed to Fitchburg, where I look at the different neighborhoods. I'm like, okay, so what's really different about them? That I would like point out, unless I'm thinking about it the wrong way. I hear people talking about silos and everything else like that. So maybe I just think that needs to be reworked to what are we actually talking about here? Because, like I said, the different identities for neighborhoods, I just can't compute that in my brain because of where I grew up. I just want to make a comment on the communication part of it. How do you measure success? Because, even with a communications person, communication is hard. When I worked for the police department, we would want community feedback, and we tried everything. And twice, we actually sent officers to go door to door. And I can't see that, that's practical. So we may just have to accept that, let's look at our process. And if the process, we look at it, put it through the Regi tool, if our process is good, we may have to just be satisfied with that. And some people are always going to go, I didn't get the memo. Especially, when you do internal stuff and you send out as much information you can to employees, they'll still say you didn't do enough. So having a measure of what are we saying the success for communication, I think that kind of got to be there. Because like I said, because of some people just won't get the information. Do people want the information? They may say, I didn't get that information, I wanted it, but I think sometimes the community has to put time in to actually get the information too.
100%. So an area that is like a personal, super nerdy interest of mine is social connectedness and community building. I just gave a keynote in Grand Rapids on it. The big thing that's changed in the last 40 years or so is lack of social infrastructure. Part of why it's so hard to reach people is people expect the government to just show up in their inbox or show up at their door. There's not a level of self-drive and self-engagement to seek that information out. I think, I didn't even put this in here, but I want you to just plant the seed and consider it. I think one of the most effective ways to reach residents is for you to consider your districts. Who are your neighborhood connectors? Who are those people? I know in like my neighborhood, like good luck if you don't want to know me, because you're getting a Christmas card and you're getting cookies and you're getting invited to my block party. Like you're gonna have to hide if you don't want to know me. But I also like go out and talk to my neighbors about the comp plan. I talk about zoning things. I talk about the school referendum. Who are those people? There's an Allison Brunette in each of your wards that their neighbors are hiding from. Who are they? How do you leverage them as an alder to be your organic communicators? Because people have distrust in government right now. Unfortunately, that's trickling down to the local level, even though it used to just be distrust at the higher levels. But people do still trust their neighbors. So how do you leverage your constituents and your neighbors to be your communicators and help further your message?
Okay, I have Joe and then Dave. Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, just two quick things. These were mentioned in the plan, so I just want to call them out, and they're kind of minor points of context. I know the Fitchburg Star was mentioned. However, a few years ago, they cut off circulation to a pretty significant portion of residents. So I would say just that, and council has definitely mentioned it many, many times. So I think just noting that it doesn't go to all residents and that it probably wouldn't be a terribly expensive fix to supplement that so that all households can get it would be a fix. The other thing is in the piece about the city not necessarily having the bandwidth to be able to be a service provider. One particular thing, and I know he was honored today, is our Dane County social workers. So in many neighborhoods, there's Joining Forces for Families social worker who cuts across that neighborhood regardless of municipal boundaries. And then the other is the city of Madison has neighborhood resource teams that also serve neighborhoods in Madison. Several of them, share, pretty much an area with the city of Fitchburg as well. So just calling out that that's a potential site for collaboration as well and pooling resources.
Okay, thank you. Dave.
Just two things. One, talked about we don't have any identity as a community, and we missed that boat many years ago, not forming our own school district. Cities are defined by their schools quite often. Verona probably has more. The school is there, and I think we need to relook at this. We have plans for a high school over here in the future. We could still be Verona School District, but we need to. I think if we ever want to be a community that is thought of and defined by identity, we need our own school. Now, I know that's a tall task. And the second thing I guess I'd like to address, we don't have any identity. Well, one thing is we don't want to be Madison, or I guess that's Dave Herbst's opinion. I don't want us to be Madison. I moved from Madison to Fitchburg specifically because I didn't want anything to do with it. And and then I guess I'll add one more. On the communications, as Jim and a number of you have elaborated, it's a difficult problem. But as I talk to many of my residents, I would tell you the communications with the city ranks relatively low on their list of what's going on in their lives. Their children, the school, their family, might have elderly parents, what they're going to have for supper. It's almost, they have social media, all these things. It's pretty low on the list. So I would say don't beat ourselves up too bad on this. I don't think it's that there's a huge clamoring for we have to have better communications with our city, at least the residents that I talk to. And I talk to a lot. I talk to a lot of residents across many social economic, areas or ranges. That's all.
Thank you. Okay.
I just wanted one more thing.
Okay, yes.
I also just about goal 2. I also don't really understand what it means, but I embraced it when I was reading through because I just thought it was the objectives more about exploring it as a concept, and so therefore I didn't have a negative reaction to it, even though I didn't really understand what it meant either. So I just wanted to throw that out there as an alternate interpretation of. I didn't have a negative reaction to that.
Okay.
Goal.
Okay. Thank you. My comments are in my, in my file that I send you. One of the things that I want to understand, because I am still confused if this strategic plan is an internal plan or is an external plan. You know what I mean? So that one is, I am still to try to figure out what is the focus of this strategic plan? You know what I mean?
Well,
but
it's kind of both. I always let the process be driven by what we hear. Now, there's been plenty of feedback saying we didn't hear from enough individuals, but what we did hear was a mix of both internal weaknesses and threats as well as external. So that's why there are hybrid external and internal goals. And this is not going to solve all issues, but it's also a huge order to solve all issues. So these are 7 specific areas we feel you have the capacity to address in the next 5 years that are a blend of both internal and external. It's not all internal issues. It's not all external issues.
Okay.
But it's 7 that we feel will set you up for success. We feel there's room to layer in sustainability measures, equity measures. Those language additions will, of course, be made with your suggestions. And room to, of course, consider new ideas or concerns that emerge over the next 5 years. So it's kind of both.
Okay. And the other one that I want to mention, goal number 2, you will see my comments. I have an issue with that, the way it is written, because I have heard so many comments from neighbors how to identify certain area of the city, and I have an issue with that. You know what I mean? And, so this is why if we think we identify neighbors, and there are some, we have 2 Fitchburg here. We have a wealthy Fitchburg, and we have a Fitchburg where we have a lot of underserved neighborhood. And I am concerned about creating that, how to polish the language that it doesn't sound like, how do we integrate all the neighbors in this concept? Otherwise, I can see it with a negative connotation, my goal 2. You can see my comment, but because I have heard so many comments about how people refer to some area of the city or neighborhoods, you know what I mean? And I have an issue because I think we all live in the same community, and there are some areas where there are more wealth than the other ones, but I am concerned that this goal can be more divisive, instead of integrate. That's it.
And we heard that feedback loud and clear in the Equity Committee meeting. I was actually really surprised with how negatively this was received with some feedback I got, and I have to make space for that feedback, of course, but some concerns that this would actually further segregation and that it would incite further racism, which was never the goal. I really feel that part of strengthening identity is strengthening social connectedness. How do you have people become more connected to their neighbors, but not do so in a way where people don't want to know others?
Okay.
And that's a challenge, and maybe it's bigger than what we can address through this plan. But I just want to be clear, that was really not the goal. The goal is, I feel the key to Fitchburg's identity is strengthening social connectedness. And it also will help accomplish greater public health outcomes. But perhaps it needs work.
No, I know. We know that. I have lived in this community for 20 years, so I know, that one is an issue. So, but okay. Any other comment, question? Because we need to move on, people.
I just have one quick question.
Yeah.
Do we have demographics around who responded to the survey?
It was optional. So we did not make it required. That was a suggestion by council so that we didn't deter participation. Right. So I can certainly provide those who did answer, but we did not have 100%. It was, once you concluded the survey and you got to the last question, it said, would you like to respond to demographic data? So only those who opted to respond, we have data from.
Because I think the other lens I would find interesting in all of this, other than kind of focus groups, which I think we need to identify, is also age. I find a very different, like the comment of why people move here and how much they want Fitchburg to be like Madison or not be like Madison, I think is incredibly different depending on the age of the person you are talking to. I think some people live here because Madison is too expensive for them to live. I think some people like in the middle. So I would find, if you have any information around age, I would find that super fascinating.
I also did analyze, we had a question that asked folks what ward they lived in and if they didn't know what district they lived in, and if they didn't know that, their cross streets. So we actually do have pretty nuanced data of district representation.
That would be super cool to understand too.
Okay,
cool.
I didn't know how. I was told by Adam I had a strict page limit on this thing. So if you would like that data in there, I can add it, but I was trying to be mindful so you didn't have like an 80-page document.
But you can put it like an appendix, like
okay.
I don't know.
Hey, Allison, earlier you mentioned, and you didn't say it here, but like somebody asked around significant, like statistical significance, and you mentioned that was outlined that it wasn't required, or we wasn't going to look at like that.
So to do without getting too wonky on this, to do a statistically valid survey for a community of this size would probably be around $30,000. So we did not include that because that would have almost doubled the price of this project. So this was a completely organic response survey where people had to take the initiative to respond, which naturally limits who responds.
Okay, so I think we are at the end. Thank you very much, Allison. We are going to see you more. Thank you for all the work that you have done with this strategic plan. And
so this will be if I join you in January, it will be virtual. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being here.
Yeah. No, thank you. Okay. Thanks, Allison. Thank you. Okay, so now we need to move with the consent agenda.
I'll move approval of the consent agenda.
Second. It's on you, Bill.
All those in favor of the consent agenda say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. So next we move to the administrator's report.
Hello, everyone. A couple of events to start off the report. The Birdie Derby, which was formerly the Burby Derby, will be taking place on Thursday, Thanksgiving morning, just down the street here from City Hall on East Sherrill Parkway. I understand there's approximately 5,000 participants registered so far, and I think they do still take some day of registrants, although the weather might be a little bit chilly for that. But the activity helps warm you up. The Holiday Lights Tour in Jubilee is happening December 13th through the 15th. There are a number of events that are happening over that time frame. I'll just highlight a few of them. Get Festive with Agora is at 5 p.m. To 8 p.m., which is just down again on East Sherrill Parkway in the Agora Pavilion. There'll actually be a lighting ceremony at 5:15 p.m. that evening. And the Holiday Lights Tour, that's an event that was started by the city. Lisa Sanford specifically was kind of the thought idea creator behind that during COVID. That kicks off from 6 to 9 p.m. And then on Saturday, there's Brunch with the Grinch at Me and Julio's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
What is that?
Brunch with the Grinch at Me and Julio's.
Who is organizing that?
This is from the Chamber Flyer. So we can send this out to you guys, too, so you have that. I think Lisa has distributed it at some point in time, but I'll also pass it around here tonight, too. There's a QR code. That's the green fictitious character that does not have a fondness for Christmas.
Oh.
So, yeah. There's also holiday fun at the Delta Beer Lab, if that's something that interests you. Santa will be at Fire Station number 1, beginning at 6 p.m. that evening. So I'll just pass this around so you guys can take a look at it, and again, we'll send that around. In case any of your constituents contact you, the assessing department, as they typically do, it's sent out a couple of hundred letters recently to some property owners indicating that they had requested to do an inspection. Oftentimes that happens when a property has been sold, if there's a building permit that's been pulled, or if they haven't happened to have been to that property for quite some time. So just in case you do get any questions, that's the basic premise by it. But I encourage you to reach out to me and our Chris Leeds, our city assessor, if you have additional questions.
Chad,
go ahead.
Can you remind the council, Chris had told us he's trying to reach every property in the city every how many years?
I believe it's every 5 years he's hoping to visit. Maybe 10, according to all the Herbst. So, yeah. Some multiple of 5.
He hasn't come to my house yet.
And he hasn't come to the mayor's house yet, so we'll make sure that he gets that within the first 5. Yeah.
Send the Grinch.
Yeah. A couple of other final updates here. Metro was here last council meeting providing an update, and they provided some additional statistics that I want to share with you in regards to some missed trips that had happened in September and October. The data that they provided indicated that in the month of September, they had 10 missed trips or cancellations for a total of 1 hour and 55 minutes, which equates to 0.072% of our monthly total hours of 2,657. They acknowledged, obviously, some challenges during the month of October. Missed trips increased to 68 missed trips in October for a total of 6 hours and 43 minutes, which equated to 0.25% of 2,657 monthly hours. Just as a reminder, we pay Metro for a total of approximately 15,941 hours of service time per year. The cost of that service per hour is $136, and as a result of the missed trips that have been identified, the city will be reimbursed for the cost of those missed trips, which equates to $1,176.40. So we'll look to continue to keep in touch. I'm looking forward to seeing the November data, which we'll be sure to share with the Common Council since we're expecting some change.
Can you share that with us? Because we have some people sometimes asking
Sure.
about
Yeah, I can do that. Absolutely.
data about.
And then the last thing I have, tax bills, property tax bills will be mailed to residents towards the late portion of the week of December 9th. So they will likely see them arriving in mailboxes the week of December 15th or 16th, whatever that Monday is. Just to highlight the overall city increase in the tax levy, the local tax levy for the city of Fitchburg was 3.4% with the budget that was passed with the council, which equates to $86 on the average city of Fitchburg assessed single-family home. The other tax rates or tax increases vary by school district overall, of course. The Madison Metropolitan School District has a 4.8% overall increase, and that does include any of the credits, such as the lottery credit, as well as also any charges such as the garbage charge. The Oregon Area School District has an increase of 6.9%, and the Verona Area School District has an overall increase of 3.1%, and that is reflective of the particular parcels that are residing in each of those particular school districts. The overall Dane County increase was 4%, which equates to approximately $49 on the average home. So to summarize, if your house is in the Madison Metropolitan School District, your overall tax bill is going up approximately 4.8%. If you live in the Oregon School District, your overall tax bill is going up about 6.9%. And if you live in the Verona School District, your overall tax bill is going up about 3.1%.
Can you share this with the council?
Yeah, I can also share this with the council as well. One of the notable items that Misty, our finance director, wanted to point out as well is that the lottery credit has declined by about $60 on average. There is some variance depending upon the school district with which you live as far as what the decline is, but that also factors into the overall increase in tax bills this year. Again, is a decline in the lottery credit of about $60 on average. Yeah, Dave.
I had an email from one of my residents, something about their water line coming into their house. Do you know, has this been something that a number of residents, I didn't get a chance to talk to Tracy or Tim yet. Can you
thank
what's
you
going on?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Alder Herbst. So the city has also recently been sending some communications to some of our residents. The EPA has a requirement for municipalities to determine if there are any lead service lines. In both, when you talk about lead service lines, we're talking about on both sides of the curb stop. So the curb stop obviously is where the water can get shut off to each individual parcels. The city is responsible for anything on the street side, if you will, of the curb stop, and residents are responsible for anything on their house side of the curb stop. And what the EPA is requiring is that municipalities create an inventory of the water service lines. So far, the city has not identified any lead service lines that are city-owned in any of the city-owned infrastructure, which obviously is quite a considerable item. There could be some lead service lines at individual parcels, depending upon when their property was constructed, for instance. If it's an older farmhouse, that happens to be within the urban service area and now connected to municipal water, possibly that could have a situation where there's a lead service line there. There's some instructions in that letter that helps residents to help identify whether they have a lead service line. There's some kind of tips to determine whether or not that line may be lead. Obviously, if anybody has any questions about the communication that they've received, or if they need some assistance in trying to determine if that service line into their house is lead or not, I would encourage them to reach out to our engineering department, and a member of either our engineering department or water utility can come out and take a look at their service line and help them determine whether or not it's lead.
I would just add one thing, probably nothing in the last 50 years is lead, would be mostly copper. Now they're using PEX, but it might even be a house like mine that the solder sometimes that they had when they soldered the copper pipe pieces together might have had some lead in it. And you can have your water tested. If you would just you get up in the morning, you let your water run a minute or two. Usually, if it had leached in there over the night, it will be gone. But I don't think there's any lead services. But you certainly could. They don't use it anymore. But it was in the solder that connected the copper pipes together.
Yeah, it's a good point too. Thank you for making that. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Is there an effort to inventory homes outside the urban service area that might have lead water lines?
I don't know if that was a requirement of the EPA, because those would all be private well services. So there really wouldn't be a municipal or government role per se in those. I can double check the letters, but I think it was largely identified, and the requirement was on the city-owned water utility.
Donna.
I'm asking on behalf of Jay, since he's unable to be here. He said, and this is in regards to the mobile home park meeting. He said, have the residents of the mobile home park been informed of the meeting in both English and Spanish? Also, will we have an interpreter?
So this is a chronic nuisance abatement hearing. This isn't necessarily an opportunity for public comment and input. So therefore, we have not advertise, so to speak, that this is happening. Again, it's important, as the City Attorney Valerie Zisman shared via email with the Common Council, to recognize that this is a quasi-judicial hearing that the Common Council will be participating in. Again, it's not an opportunity for public input and feedback. This is going to be a situation where city staff and other government-related organizations will be outlining why they believe this property decision to be declared a chronic nuisance should be affirmed. There will also be an opportunity for park ownership and management to convey their position on the matter and talk about the things that they've done in response to the items that have been brought to their attention. Long answer to the question, I apologize, but this isn't something that we would be seeking public involvement in.
Okay, any other question?
Yeah, I have one quick question, and I don't know if this is the right place to bring it up. Can we put in, and apologies if this happened the meeting after the election, because I was not there. Has anyone requested a retrospective on the referendum and a report out as to why it might have gone the way it went, and what kind of community feedback was around that? And if not, may I register this as my request?
So we have some feedback. We requested that from Miller Communications, and to paraphrase, largely, I think, Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, I know that the feedback was shared with you as well. One of their main points was the community survey bore out support for 2.9% at 56% and 3.6 million at 48%. And lo and behold, the vote was 47-53. So the survey was quite quite spot on, so to speak, as far as what the outcome was. That was kind of the big takeaway from the feedback there. The mayor met with key staff yesterday afternoon to further debrief and discuss the referendum. And I think, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think the summary is, the consensus is, there could be 100 different reasons as to why an individual voter may have voted in the way that they did. There's probably some general themes that could be taken from that. You know, I didn't want to pay any more in taxes. I can't pay any more in taxes. I didn't care for what was in the referendum. I didn't care for the amount. You know, it's all kinds of things. Misinformation, wasn't clear information that was provided at the information sessions. I mean, it's all, could be a number of different things. But we have looked at that. We've got some notes taken as a result of that meeting we had yesterday, and some other thoughts that we've had as staff, so that at some point in the future, if the Common Council wishes to go to referendum again, we can draw on those reflections and utilize those to perhaps have a different outcome.
Just one slight tangent here. About 4 days ago or so, a story came out from the Wisconsin Policy Forum that said Wisconsin's state and local tax burden on the citizens has never been lower in terms of taxes versus their personal income. So we're sitting at the best position that Wisconsinites have ever had.
Yeah, and you can look at our own history and our portion of our taxes, and you can see that, you know, we have been pretty flat. So when people say that we have increased in taxes significantly, it's wrong. You know, you need to look at the data.
And it has not kept pace with inflation.
Exactly. Can you share that with that article?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Anything else for chat? No? You don't have anything else? Okay. Nope. Okay, so next we move to mayor's report, and I don't have too much. I want to say, you know, get festive. Okay, the other thing I want to get festive. Yeah, okay. Bring your kids, your family. It's going to be a great event. What else? Please, you know, the Business Appreciation Luncheon that we are doing December 12th is a great opportunity for you, and I will recommend to come to attend the event, because it's a great event for us also to do networking with a lot of business owners in the community. And, you know, and I will say that please come, and then you can reach out to them, you know, talk to them, you know, welcome 12. You haven't received the email? Mike Zimmerman sent an email. Yes, please. Okay, that one is a great event. Also, remember between Black Friday and Cyber Monday, there is another special day. Which day is? Exactly. So please shop this Saturday here in Fitchburg. We have plenty of small businesses, so you can support them. It will be great. You know, most of our small businesses are the ones that provide the most jobs in our community. So remember, shop small businesses on Saturday. Okay. What else? If you want to also to contribute to any food pantry, we have one that 70% of some people, residents in our community, go to the Badger Very Neat Network. They are doing a campaign, so this is great. And then what else? I want to thank Lisa Sanford, because she helped me with all the mayoral's award. So thank you, Lisa, for all your work. She was behind organizing tonight's event. And I don't have anything else, you know. So, okay. So next we move to Commission and Committees report. Gabriela.
I will do the last ordinance, and then I'll do a report. Plan Commission, I move approval of ordinance 2024-034, zoning ordinance amendment approving rezone request RZ 257224 by Brian Stuke, agent for Gary Gorman, J. Gorman and Farm Property LLC, to rezone properties from AX, exclusive agricultural, to AT, transitional agriculture, and RL, low-density residential, and AS, small lot agricultural, to permit a single-family residence on property associated with 5539 Wayland Road.
Second.
And this did pass Plan Commission.
Okay, can you explain what is? Oh, did the Ag and Rural Affairs Committee approve?
We did.
Oh, okay, good.
So this is basically this is to fix a mistake that was made. Property was built,
Okay.
a home was built on private property, and a garage was later added, and when that was done, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find my notes.
It was
here.
like too close to the lot lines.
Yeah, it was too
So-
close to the lot line. They didn't
Yeah.
get a building permit, so they didn't identify the issue at the time. It is, all the property around it is owned by Gary Gorman, their family. So all it is it's a rezone. It's basically 30 feet of a rezone into low residential to account for that. And then they also had to switch one of the agricultural zonings because it's too small to be AX. It has to be small agriculture. So that's why there's the two different rezones at the same time. But it's just fixing something that already exists. Nothing new.
Okay, but I want to clarify something. There was, in your commission, you did an amendment. So you are approving what?
I can read the amendment if you'd
Okay,
like.
yeah.
So in the referral sheet, if you all want to bring that up, it was noted in the Ag and Rural Affairs Committee that condition number 4 was amended both by Plan Commission and Ag and Rural, that the new lot shall conform to the standards of the RL low-density residential zone, and the lot to the west shall conform to the standards of the AS small lot agriculture zone, and neither shall create new nonconformities. So it looks like both Plan and Ag and Rural Affairs amended and approved.
Yes, so I
if
moved
you're
it as Plan and Ag.
Okay.
Yes, I moved it as amended.
Perfect,
Okay.
thank you.
Any question, comment? If you're confused by this, we have Diana. Okay. All those in favor of ordinance 2024-0-34, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. Okay.
And I have some more from my report.
Okay.
There was a minor PDD modification for the Inspiration at Swan Creek, those small single-family lot homes. They went from 60 to 57 units. The developers really wanted slightly larger lots, and some duplexes were desired, so that was the change. And we'll see something for Public Works about that in just a moment. There was also an early issuance of permits for the Jamestown's apartments. Those are the ones behind the Winger Quarry off of Fitchburg Road. So they are looking to get started as soon as possible, grading possibly as early as December. There was a pre-application for the Fitchburg Police Station, so if you want to take a look at some of those materials, those were released in the Plan Commission packet. We did have some just initial discussions about what it looked like, but no approvals, just a pre-application. We also, there are neighborhood plan meetings coming up, and I will forward you the email that Deanna sent to the Plan Commission, but just to say it out loud, these are for both the Greenfield and the South Sterner Prairie neighborhood plans. Tuesday, December 3rd, 5 p.m. at Council Chambers, the Greenfield Neighborhood Plan Steering Committee will meet. And then on Wednesday, December 11th at 5:30 p.m. in Jeannie Sealing, the South Sterner Prairie Neighborhood Plan Steering Committee will meet again. Or the other steering committee will meet. And then on Thursday, December 19th at 5 p.m. at the library, there is a South Sterner Prairie Neighborhood Plan open house. And I will forward that to council. That is all. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Next, we move to Board of Public Works. Oh, we have a lot of us.
So I'm going to do half, and Bill will do half, so our voices don't give out here. So I'll move approval resolution R-15924, approving the purchase of 4 2025 Ford F-150 Lightning trucks.
Second.
Board of Public Works approved.
Did Finance Committee approve?
Finance approved.
Oh, thank you.
So we're purchasing 4. We asked the question, I've never seen us buy 4 vehicles at one time. And was explained to us, they have had several that probably needed replacement, but they held on to them for longer to determine what type of vehicles they were going to get. So they are getting 4 electric trucks. The price is a little shy of $46,000 a piece, and with the incentive, they come with the free charger that will get installed.
Okay, any question, comments? Okay.
I just want to say how delighted I am that we are buying 4 electric vehicles and then very soon a hybrid vehicle. 5 years ago, this was my wildest dream. So thank you for staff for continuing to do this. And I'm delighted that they work so well. That Tim said that they love the 2 that they have so much that they're excited to have more. And the fact that an electric vehicle is performing at the scale that they want to buy more. And it's a functional vehicle. It's not just something we're driving around. They're actually using this as a work vehicle. It's just an absolutely wonderful thing and really happy. Thanks.
Okay, all of in favor of resolution R-159-24, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, next one.
Next one, I move approval of Resolution R-173-24, approving agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Oak Meadows Reserve.
Second.
Public Works approved this. This is pretty much a standard agreement.
Any question, comment? Okay, all those in favor of resolution R-173-24, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, next one.
Next, I'll move approval of Resolution R-174-24, approving Second Amendment to the agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Highland Reserve.
Second.
Public Works approved.
Plan
okay.
approved.
Okay, thank you.
We discussed this, with a multi-units going in where the previously planned school was going, and then you saw the lot that was possibly set aside for future daycare or Montessori. So same thing we discussed earlier.
Okay, any question, comment? Okay, all those in favor of resolution R-174-24, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, next one.
Next, I move postponement of Resolution R-181-24 to the December 10th meeting.
Second.
All those in favor of postponing this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
The motion carries. Next one.
Move approval of Resolution R-194-24, authorizing acceptance of 2025 ARPA street resurfacing bid.
Second.
Did Finance Committee approve?
Yes.
Public Works approved also. Madam Mayor, this is, again, we've had the ARPA money. We went out for bid, and Payne and Dolan was the successful bidder at this. With the 10% contingency, we're at about $1.087, $87,316. This is roughly $300,000 more than the engineer's estimate. So there's kind of 2 components here, how we make up the difference. We had additional savings from other things we didn't do in the ARPA. There was about $200,000, and then other street resurfacing, water and stormwater make up roughly the remaining $100,000 on this. This is, I believe, this is what was intended with this ARPA. This is in the Belmar, Dunsmarsh neighborhood. And so most of the streets will be redone after this project is completed. There's curb and gutter streets. We've been redoing the water. We did Chapel, Crescent this year. So the neighborhood will have, I feel, very good streets after this project is completed. And again, I feel this is where the federal government wanted these ARPA type funds invested.
Okay, we need to set the vote for this one. Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to add a couple things that we talked about in finance. This will exhaust the ARPA funds. That's how this is designed. So they will spend basically all the ARPA funds that are left, and then they will fill the gap with the other items. And since Missy doesn't know exactly how much money that will be, that's why this is worded in such a strange way. So we talked a little bit about that. And then also, and I can't remember if I mentioned this, Dave, but I think the plan is to start around spring 2025 for the actual project. But it has to be obligated by the end of the year, which is why we have to do it now.
Nicole?
Yes, requires roll call for this.
Yeah.
I just have a quick question, and sorry, Dave, I was trying to search the document, and I'm probably conflating two things that are not related. I just want to make sure, is this covering the completion of the stretch of road on Osmondson? Or is that already budgeted?
No, that's on that'll be a different project, I think.
Tim's online, but I believe he's going to tell you that that's going to be taken care of early next year.
I know that's the timing, and I wanted to make sure not seeing it here wasn't a problem, because we're talking about two different things.
Yeah, it's a different funding, I believe.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, Tim. Okay, Tim's nodding his head. Thank you for entertaining my question.
There. This right here. Yeah. Where the finger is. Yeah. I'm going to put tape. Sorry. Okay, 2/3 of the vote, so we need to do roll call.
Thank you, Mayor. Alder Allen is absent. Alder Dantzler Jr.
Aye.
Alder Gerhart.
Aye.
Alder Herps.
Aye.
Alder Jetzer.
Aye.
Alder Maldonado.
Joe?
I said aye.
Oh, okay.
Alder Vafadari.
Aye.
Alder Wheeler.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. So next one.
Move approval of Resolution R-195-24, approving Second Amendment to the agreement for subdivision improvements in the Inspiration at Swan Creek. Certified survey map.
Second.
Board of Public Works approved. We just discussed this. This is the amendment to reduce the number of units from 60 to 57.
And also we need to reduce the park fees. Yeah.
What did you say? I didn't.
And also we need to reduce the park fees.
The park, yes, you are correct, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Any other question, comments? Okay. All those in favor of resolution R-195-24 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next one.
I'll move approval of Resolution R-224, authorizing a budget amendment for additional funding of yard waste grinding services.
Second.
Board of Public Works approved.
Finance approved.
Okay. What is this?
Yeah, this is, we contract to have our yard waste that's dropped off at the recycling center ground and disposed of, and there has been an excess of materials there, so we need a change order to, or increase funding to deal with the overage.
Okay. 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 Any question, comments? This requires 2/3 of the vote, so we need to do roll call.
Thank you, Mayor. Alder Allen is absent. Alder Dantzler Jr.
Aye.
Alder Gerhart.
Aye.
Alder Herps.
Aye.
Alder Jetzer.
Aye.
Alder Maldonado.
Aye.
Alder Vafadari.
Aye.
Alder Wheeler.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next one.
I move approval of Resolution R-20124, approving agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Thermo Fisher subdivision.
Second.
Board of Public Works approved.
Plan Commission?
This one didn't go to plan, I don't think.
Yeah.
Did it? Oh, sorry. Yes, we approved it.
Okay, what is this, Bill?
This is a Common Council in March conditionally approved the Thermo Fisher subdivision plat. This land division requires a subdivider to enter into a contract with the city for installation of public improvements. Pretty standard stuff.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of resolution R-201-24 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next one.
I'll move approval of Resolution R-20224, accepting a partial assignment and assumptions of agreement for subdivision improvement in the plat of Thermo Fisher subdivision.
Second.
Board of Public Works approved.
Okay, what is this? If you don't know, we had Tim.
Yeah, Tim, you want to explain this one?
Yes, this is a partial assignment and assumptions agreement for the subdivision improvements to Young Men's Christian Association of Dane County.
This one is the YMCA, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay. I had a different legal name. Okay. Okay, any question, comments? All those in favor of resolution R-202-24, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next one.
I'll move approval of resolution R-20424, accepting a public sanitary sewer easement on Outlot 40 in Terra Vesa.
Second.
Board of Public Works approved.
Plan approved.
This Gabriela is second all of them. Resolution. Okay, what is this?
A sanitary sewer easement is needed in an outlot in Terra Vesa, and eventually that will be built out.
And it's going to serve the fourth addition.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments, team, that you want to add about this one? No?
No additional comments.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of resolution R-204-24, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next one.
I'll move approval of resolution R-20524, accepting a public sanitary sewer and water main easement on Lot 1 in CSM 13827. That's the Inspiration at Swan Creek.
Second.
Board of Public Works approved.
And plan approved.
Thank you. What is this?
Again, pretty standard stuff. This is Inspiration at Swan Creek. We just talked about that development, and we need an easement for the sanitary sewer and water main.
Okay, any comment, question? No? All those in favor of resolution R-205-24, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Move approval of resolution R-20624, releasing a public utility easement on lots 6 and 7 in the Jamestown Commercial Edition plat.
Second.
Board of Public Works approved.
Plan approved.
Okay, what is this?
This is an old easement that is currently running underneath an existing building. The city has no need for it, and this will be released. I guess that's it.
I believe it was in there prior to the redoing of the Verona interchange. And I think probably after, it's been abandoned since then, would be my guess.
Yeah. So we are removing, okay, releasing. Okay. So all those in favor of resolution R-206-24, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay,
And
next
finally,
one.
I'll move to postpone ordinance 2024-0-33 to the December 10th council meeting. This was not placed on the TTC agenda, so we're going to look at that on December 5th, and then it will come back to council on December 10th.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of postponing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, so next we move to Park Commission.
No report will meet next week.
Okay, Library Board.
No report.
No. Commission of Aging Well.
No major updates, just that in lieu of the referendum not passing, they're just still seeking opportunities to increase, grant opportunities to increase transportation.
Okay. TTC?
RCC?
No. TTC. Oh, yeah, RCC.
No update.
TTC?
Yes, we met on November 14th. We talked about the city's parking guidelines, which have since been removed from our website. We've never actually had official parking minimums, but the guidelines tended to be treated as such. So the hope is that with the removal of those parking guidelines, developers will be free to put in less parking, hopefully do some transportation demand management analysis, although city staff is going to have difficulty trying to review TDM analysis. But parking is, it's an issue, especially as the city grows. We discussed our Vision Zero timeline and the recent awarding of $1 million grant that's shared between the MPO and Fitchburg and several other municipalities to do a safety action plan. And so we're thinking that, given the failed referendum and money being tight, Vision Zero plans are probably going to have to be pushed back somewhat. We discussed access to the MPO's high injury network data. The public-facing data that you can get is useful, but it's somewhat limited due to privacy concerns. Our transportation engineer, Ross Kaler, does have access to that full data set. So it's still useful for the city. And we also discussed options for funding transit extensions since the referendum failed.
Okay, thank you. Sida.
Our next meeting is on Thursday, December 5th at 7 a.m.
Okay, thank you. Agricultural and Rural Affairs Committee.
Yes, we met on the 19th. We talked about the small, like 30-foot rezoning item that was brought to council tonight. We also discussed two items to highlight. One was brought forward by Ben Schulte, and I think it was a great use of a committee, a staff member bringing forward some really creative ideas on how to deal with dredged materials and how to repurpose within the community. And I really appreciated his approach to bring it to a group of people to give a weigh-in before spending time and resources on it. So I thought that was really great conversation. And then we had a really interesting discussion about kind of the future of the rural community within Fitchburg and how that should look within the comprehensive plan, and just a lot of years of experience and differing opinions at this table, which I think were really great. So yeah, that was kind of the bulk of our meeting.
Thank you. Bicycle and Pedestrian Commission. Who is here? Oh, Joe.
Our next meeting is on Tuesday, December 10th at 7 a.m.
Okay, thank you. EMS
No
Commission.
report.
No? No. Okay. Healthy Neighborhoods Committee. Jay is not here, but there is a meeting coming December 4, isn't it? Okay. Housing Advisory Committee.
No report.
Landmark, no report. Tree Advisory Committee.
No report.
December 4. Okay. Community Equity. It should be ad hoc committee.
Oh, you pretty much heard our
Okay.
update from, we
Yes.
sent the mayor the vision and the mission
I
statement.
will not review it this weekend.
Nope, take your time. Sent that to her, she'll review. And then today's meeting just consisted of responding to Allison's presentation around the strategic framework.
Thank you. And then, Jim, do you have any report for the police facility?
No, I have not. I did not go to the last
Okay.
virtual meeting.
And we don't have, did we meet last week? Yeah. Or no?
I think we met
2 weeks ago.
right 2 weeks in advance of the pre-application meeting with the
Okay.
Plan Commission. So the information that Alder Gerhardt provided
Yeah.
is the most up to date at this
Okay.
point.
Thank you. So next we move to a standing committees report, and we will start with Finance Committee.
I'll start with a report and then I'll move into the resolutions.
Okay.
Our finance director shared that the audit field work started today. I had a call with the auditors as finance chair, and so that process is underway. Tax bills are also underway. The county portal has not yet opened to create them, although all the tax data, as the administrator mentioned, is in. The plan is to mail them on Friday, December 13th, assuming all goes to plan. So people that get those bills in the mail should see them soon. We did talk a little bit about the lottery credit has changed, but generally speaking, if you own a single-family primary residence, if it's a single-family home, it's your primary residence, you should be able to get a lottery credit. So check your bill and check your property tax bill and make sure you have a lottery tax credit. It's somewhere in like the $276 to $321 range, and it's basically just money back. So if they don't know it's your single-family private residence, it won't be included, but you should be getting that money. So check. Once it's on there, it probably won't ever go away, but it's worth double-checking that it's there. And then I can move on to the resolutions. I'll move approval of Resolution R19124, approval to purchase Paratech Flying Raker Stabilization Kit.
Second.
Did Finance Committee approve?
Finance approved.
We had Chief Grossen
Yeah.
here. Okay, Chief. Do you want to explain
Good
what it is?
evening.
Yes.
Yeah. Resolution 19124, asking the council approval for the purchase of Paratech Flying Raker stabilization kit. This is a sole source request through Air One Equipment out of South Elgin, Illinois. They are the regional sales for Paratech and why Paratech. Paratech's the equipment and that we use on for vehicle extrication already, and we're trained up and familiar with that product. So that's why we're asking for this stabilization kit that's made by the same manufacturer. What this kit allows us to do is if we get called to a trench rescue or a vehicle in a building where we have structural instability, like we did back on Friday, where we had a gentleman mix up the pedals in his car and he went through the back wall of his garage into his house. The Flying Raker stabilization kit allows us to quickly get some form of stabilization into that area within a matter of minutes. If what we'd have to do now is bring in wood, nails, and everything, and that takes time in order to have that proper stabilization, not only to keep that individual from receiving any further harm, but also to keep the area safe for the first responders in operating in that area. So that's what the Flying Raker kit is in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you. Any question, comment? No? All those in favor of resolution 191-24 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. Next one.
I'll move approval of resolution R19224, approving purchase of replacement police department vehicle, and this finance approved this.
Second.
This is a 10-year-old police vehicle. It's scheduled to be replaced next year. Oh, I'm sorry. Did someone second it?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. It is scheduled to be replaced next year, but because of how long it's been taking to get vehicles, staff thought it was prudent to actually get it in now in anticipation of a potential delay. It's a Dodge Durango vehicle, and this is a fleet vehicle, not a squad car, so there will be minimal additional cost to outfit it.
So why we don't buy electric for this one? It's not, you know.
The police department has an electric vehicle on order. That was part of the original 3 that had been authorized by council, I think, back in September. So once that arrives, that'll give them their first opportunity to begin utilizing an EV and see how that works for their operations.
But this one, I thought this one was
No, this is not an EV.
okay. We should look for electric vehicle when we can. Okay. Any other question, comment? No. All those in favor of resolution R-192-24 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. Next one.
I'll move approval of resolution R19724, authorizing the purchase of a 2025 Chrysler Pacifica hybrid select vehicle from Ewald Automotive Group. And Finance Committee did approve. Sorry. Okay. Trying to move. So this is a hybrid minivan for our general fleet pool. That means it's not assigned to any specific department. It's just a general car that any department can rent. They decided to get a van so there was more flexibility. It could be cargo for the voting machines, for example, but it could also carry a group of people up north for a conference.
For the senior center.
Or the senior center, yeah. So it was, they wanted to do a hybrid just so that there was that flexibility with the gas-powered, especially during winter months. And it is an add. This is a vehicle add-on. We're not replacing a vehicle, and this is in part because the plan was to use old, like retired police vehicles to fill the staff fleet, but that has not panned out because of all the delays with vehicles. So instead, we're just going to start buying those vehicles, which in my opinion might actually be better because now we can get an environmentally friendly vehicle. And then we do have a budget amendment for this, for ARPA funds. We were originally going to spend some ARPA funds on EV charging infrastructure, but we cannot guarantee that we can expend that money in the time period. So instead, we are moving that money to pay for this. So that's what the budget amendment is about.
One point of clarification, This is a plug-in hybrid, so it's not just like a Prius or something. This has actual battery capacity.
Okay. Oh, it's kind of like an electric car.
It's an electric car until you run out of battery, and then it fires up the gas engine.
Okay. Oh, but it's both. Okay.
It's both.
Okay. Any question? Okay. We need 2/3 of the vote. Tracy. So we need roll call.
Thank you, Mayor. Alder Allen is absent. Alder Dancer Jr.
Aye.
Alder Gerhart.
Aye.
Alder Herps.
Aye.
Alder Jutser.
Aye.
Alder Maldonado.
Aye.
Alder Vafadari.
Aye.
Alder Wheeler.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Okay. We move to Personnel Committee. Any update?
Yes, thank you. We had the opportunity, after a long delay, to meet on November 13th. We just had a few things on the docket. So there was an update to a classification title, Community Development Specialist, to Community Development Program Coordinator. We had a few minor updates to the employee handbook, and then Sarah gave a very good and detailed HR department update around some of the things that were going on there. And that'll conclude the Personnel Committee report. It was just a short 3-agenda item.
Okay. Thank you. Public Safety and Human Services.
Dave, are you going for Jay?
Our meeting was canceled. We did not have any agenda items.
Okay. Unfinished business, we don't have anything. So then we move to new business.
I'll move approval of Resolution R20724, accepting a bike pedestrian bike path easement and maintenance agreement in Lot 7 of Hartung Fields.
Second.
Did the Plan Commission approve this?
Plan approved,
Okay,
yes.
what is this?
Public Works approved. This is a little unique, where the path goes through here. This will be, Bill, if I remember right, this will be concrete. And it's relatively close to the building where the space is. And this agreement lays out, that path, and that we don't have to maintain it. That the Hartung property or whatever will be maintaining this bike pedestrian path.
And it'll be colored pavement.
Yes.
To indicate that it's an actual throughway for pedestrians and bikers.
Oh, keep that in mind because I have a question for Chad about that. Okay. Any other question, comment? No? Okay. All those in favor of resolution R-207-24 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. Okay, so we are at the end of our agenda item, sorry. So now we move to all the reports, and we will start with District 1.
I just had one thing, Chad, if you could thank Gabe. Again, there was garbage, some residents on Yumsburg Way, and when we made the call, we got the residents to take care of that. We appreciate that good response.
Joe?
There's a dinner. It's called La Posada de Allied. It's going to be at the Boys and Girls Club on Saturday, December 7th, 5 to 9 p.m.
Thank you. District 2?
Soccer fields at McKee Farms Park are getting some needed maintenance, so that's good.
Really? They're doing that? Oh.
Today is November 26th. This is World Sustainable Transport Day, so raise your hand if you rode your bike here tonight.
In my dream.
Or if you wore a tie. Excellent. And the last thing I want to say, there's some news coming on North Fish Hatchery Road. Fitchburg Family Pharmacy is expanding into the space immediately next door. They're going to have healthcare professionals on hand to offer clinical services starting in summer of 2025.
Oh, nice.
So they're currently in the construction phase and composing a list of the services that they want to provide and seeking healthcare professionals, whether that be a physician or a nurse practitioner. This is excellent. This is less than a 10-minute walk from Cahill, Maine, the Pines, and the Sun Valley Apartments. So this will be an excellent addition to the neighborhood.
Yes.
Bill, will they be accepting general insurances? Do you know? Is that an intent?
I don't know that.
That would be super interesting once we
Yeah.
do figure out to socialize amongst our communities
Yeah.
to see. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, District 3.
I want to go.
Oh, you, I forgot.
I'm really excited about this. The Greater Heights Climbing Gym in South Sale is open. I've been a climber since 2015, and so I've been excited about this for many, many years. We bought a membership. Patrick and I are going to go climbing tomorrow night for the first time. And I'll be at the ribbon cutting, which is on December 11th at 4:15 p.m. So if anyone wants to tour and is not a climber and wants to just check it out, I would recommend coming to the ribbon cutting on December 11th. Really, really great resource for the neighborhood and for this side of town. We're so excited to have them. And that's my report. Thanks.
Thank you. Chad, one question before. When they are planning to paint on Seminole, this is a question that the crosswalk, where the bikes, they are not,
I'll talk to Tim. I'm not sure. I would have.
because they
yeah.
painted,
They painted the lines and stuff.
Yeah,
but they didn't do that.
one is missing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know, is it the Cap City Trail or the?
Both.
Okay, both trail crossings.
because
I'll reach out to Tim and
I
get
did
an
my
answer.
walking the other day and I saw that too. Some neighbor approach. Okay, District 3.
No major District 3 updates, but I did find that article that Alder Jesser was talking about. It's in the updated Dane County Cities and Villages Association, that newsletter from yesterday.
Okay.
It came out that
Okay.
it was in there. And then it's not necessarily council related, but more on a personal note. I found out today that I'll be getting an award next Saturday at the Urban League of Madison Young Professionals Gala.
Oh, congratulations.
It's a Inspire Award. So if anybody, thank you. If anybody wanted to come, just let me know. There are still opportunities to get tickets and things like that.
Okay,
But
thank you. 4.
Nothing to report, but happy holidays for everyone. And if you're traveling out of town, safe travels.
Yes.
To add to that cute update, if you're going to be at the Birdie Dirty Derby, I'm super excited to see you.
I am the only one in my family that signed, so I don't know.
Well, maybe you can help with my 4- and 7-year-old that I'm sure will be super happy to walk a 5K.
Oh, you're going to walk? If you walk, I join you.
Yeah, I'm just walking. I'm not trying to win a medal, okay? But thank you to everybody in advance. I know there are a few community members who volunteer for that every single year.
Yeah.
I know Steve Arnold will be there and Andy Potts, so very excited about that.
Yeah.
Madam Mayor?
Yeah.
I dug up some notes from this past Monday's Board of Public Works meeting, and I wrote down that the lane striping has been completed on Fitch Road and Nesbitt and Seminole, and that the crosswalks, bikes, and bike symbols are to be completed this week.
Oh, okay, good. Okay.
Thanks, Bill. I'll cross that
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so announcement, next Common Council meeting, a special meeting is December 3rd. Next week, please read the email that Valerie sent you with all the procedures for that meeting. It's a different meeting. Next Common Council meeting will be December 10th. I will be out of town, but I want to be connected remotely, so I'll let Gabriela Herhard is going to be running the meeting. Thank you. And then next committee of the whole will be January 22nd, 2025. So I want to wish you everyone happy Thanksgiving to all of you, the council. I am very thankful to work with all of you. Even we disagree and we agree, but I think we have a great council. Also want to thank to the staff, the city staff. They do a great job on keeping going with this city. And also to the residents, our neighbor, Feliz Día de Acción de Gracias. And have a nice holiday. And shop a small business this Saturday. I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 And opposed, the motion carry. We are adjourning at 10:28 p.m.